words of the man with the rifle in his hand. Don't be mistaken, I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs appear, it's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker and Adrian Wiley on the 1787 Radio Network.
This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me. Well, we'll tell why, maybe for the last time, or maybe for the next to last time. He is the Libertarian gubernatorial candidate here in Florida. He is a guy that drives around without a driver's license. He is a gentleman that has got strange quirks about him, even though not all of them are talked about on the air. A man who knows this state like the back of his hand. Adrian Wiley, good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for all the backhanded compliments in that introduction there. I really, really appreciate it.
No, anytime you're looking for a backhanded compliment, you just go ahead, you give me a call.
Yeah, you're the guy.
And I will
Or
give you
directions
one.
in Florida.
Yeah, or either one.
I will block you on Facebook, pal.
I do consider
The correct term here is touche.
touche. Is
MF.
that
Yeah.
the correct term?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to go ahead and say that. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Yeah, it's this will be my last show as a completely active participant in the Liberty Underground show on the 1787 network.
I can point to a couple of shows where you weren't a completely active participant in those either.
Hence the reason that I'm actually scaling back my position with the show. Quite frankly, with the campaign, I just don't have time.
Right.
You know, it's really become a time issue, and I've had to reprioritize a lot of things in my life to make the commitment to winning the gubernatorial election in 2014. And
WileyForGovernor.com.
yeah, and unfortunately, the show is one of the things that I've had to scale back on. So I'm going to miss it. And I'll still be around every once in a while. But this gentleman here, Greg Bowen, is going to be the new member of the show and new. What do you call this position? What's the fancy term? Broadcast engineer? Yeah.
Is that broadcast engineer, producer? Or
Producer,
No, our
broadcast.
official term is dude that works the knobs.
the buttons and the levers
And the
and the
levers.
knobs.
So you're calling Greg a knob handler?
I think ultimately I'm going to be known as the knob by the.
The knob. You're on with us for 3 minutes and you've already got a nickname, the knob.
The knob.
Hey, who's this young lady sitting over here?
I'm getting there.
No, you weren't. You were picking up paper.
I'm getting there. You don't worry about what's going on over here, right? You just don't worry about that. Sitting to my right is Hernando County's favorite.
Most loved.
At least the last time you can do it right, so that's good. Libertarian. Another woman that just doesn't feel a driver's license or something that are needed. A woman that is also in the banning mood as of late. Danielle Alexandre, good morning.
Good morning.
Doing well?
I am doing well. I mean, unless I don't like you on Facebook, and then I'm not. Well, actually, I am doing well because they just block you and I can't see anything.
That's
It's
a good
great.
point, by the way.
And quite frankly, if you keep throwing the driver's license thing out there, there's a lot of listeners who have no idea what that means. So at some point, we might want to.
Well, we'll do that today. We'll do it
Well,
later.
I have a story today, actually, about some real ID issues in Texas. So we'll get into the story
Okay,
then.
good. Then we can talk
Yeah.
about that. All right.
Well, and we're going to do a little. We'll start off with a little house cleaning, or a little housekeeping, I should say. Not house cleaning. House cleaning is when we get rid of Adrian, but house keeping. We'll start off with a little house cleaning, or housekeeping. I'm sure that many of you know that if you listen to the show for a long period of time, that before we were doing it out of our house or out of the studio here, where we were doing it only on the internet, we were doing it on Tan Talk, 1340 AM. Well, good news at least for an hour of this show will also be broadcast on Tan Talk 1340. So the 10 to 11 time frame will actually be on Tan Talk.
And not just Tan Talk 1340, all the stations of the Tan Talk network, which include AM 1350 and AM 1400.
Right.
So we've got a pretty good reach around West Central Florida. So
Yeah.
AM 1340, AM 1350, AM 1400, depending on where in the extended Tampa Bay area you are.
Yeah, so from 10 to 11, the show will actually be on that station as well. But the first hour and the third hour are going to be online, so you have to be able to listen online in order to hear the first and the third hour.
For now, until
For
we
now.
Pick up more
Well,
stations, more affiliates.
We're looking at
We're
adding
always
some more affiliates.
Yeah, we're always reaching out to radio stations and offering them the show, and hopefully more and more continue to pick it up as they go. By the way, I'm going to be, I'm going to have a stiff neck by the end of the day from doing this, so,
Yeah.
we need to hurry up and get
Yeah,
that.
you're
fourth mic.
deserting us. I have no sympathy for you.
No, but
Whatever,
still,
have a
we're
stiff
going to
neck.
need it for guests and stuff, So,
Yeah. No, we'll get another
that's
microphone.
important. Buy a mic, will you?
Yeah, we got one because we got Charlie Chris coming in to next week too. So
That would be awesome, actually. I would like nothing better.
I mean, Chain Gang Charlie, former Republican candidate,
Yeah,
or former
yeah.
Republican governor.
Former Republican governor.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know.
I'd love the opportunity to
talk
get
to
him in the
Charlie.
studio.
You know what
Yeah.
Charlie Chris and the Democrats actually proved by their newfound love for one another
What's that?
is that just like the Republicans, the Democrats do not care about like principles or anything like that. Like Charlie Crist was the top Republican in Florida, and the fact that he was welcomed so graciously with open arms of the
hugs.
Democrats, yeah, like this guy was your rival. You know, this guy was the tip of the spear of the GOP here in Florida, and he comes over and it's just like, oh, it's Charlie. Oh, how great is this guy?
I don't know how well he's been received by Democrats, quite frankly.
Well, he's about
The fact that
to
he's
be
going to win their
nominee.
nomination. I mean, I know they haven't had the vote yet, but
yeah, I think he'll probably win by default, quite frankly, because there's not a lot of contenders out there.
well, I mean, you got Nan Rich. and-
Nan Rich is really the only
Well,
other
Alex
contender.
Sink might get in his race though.
She still could.
She still could.
Yeah.
But I think what's going to happen if if Alex Sink gets in, Nan Rich is already in. I think what's going to happen is I think a lot of Democrats are going to see her as the person who can't win because she's already lost to him. And I think they're going to go with Charlie Crist because he's won. He's won being the governor, and I think they're going to think that plays. And at the end of the day, I think on both sides, they just look at the game. They don't look at the person's principles. It's, well, that name could win, that name couldn't. And who that person is behind the name is really inconsequential.
And it's red team, blue team.
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of people. But
Yeah.
less and less as time goes by. As we go out there and talk to people, we see more and more are done with just voting for someone because of the letter behind their name.
Well, we
and
were out the
people who
last-
are breaking long traditions of doing exactly that.
We were out the last couple days for a candidate, and we're getting petitions signed. And when they would say, "Well, what party?" and you'd say, "Well, no party affiliation, libertarian." Oh, okay, and they would sign it.
By the way, plug them.
No,
Oh, you can't?
no.
Okay.
Not till it's official.
I actually heard this particular candidate's name on the radio yesterday, by the way.
Oh,
Talked about in that particular race, I believe.
oh, okay.
Really? That's
Really?
pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. If we're talking about the race that I'm thinking of, and I'm pretty sure that we're all on the same page here, yeah, that candidate got mentioned on the Clear Channel stations yesterday.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, that's cool.
Well, yeah, that is cool.
I think the overriding point here, though, one, that door-to-door activity actually is the best way in which to actually go out and talk to people. So I think, because there's been conversations as to maybe this ain't the best way to go about doing things. I think that going around getting petitions signed is without a doubt by far the best outreach when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
And you know what? We weren't going to get. I didn't even think of getting into this too much heavily here, but I'm glad that we kind of went down this road, though. In order to spread the message for a political party, let's say you're libertarian, you want to go out and spread the message for libertarians. I mean, people view political parties, at least from the outside looking in, as those are vehicles or mechanisms to get somebody elected into office.
Right, to
You
run
guys-
for office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to run for office. I mean, the purpose of a political party is to run candidates,
And get them elected.
to get people to register to vote in that party, and to get those people to vote for the candidates. I mean, at the end of the day, taking what that party believes out of it, that's the goal of a political party. I mean, if you don't want to do that, then, you know, if that's not your cup of tea when it comes to politics, activism, whatever you want to call it, then, you know, there's always like the Cato Institute, and you can form your own think tanks, or, you know, your own debate club per se.
Well,
you can form like the debate club.
I think that if you're working really hard to get people into your party, you know, and that is, and most of the time, you know, a party will say, well, no, you know, it's the get out the vote effort to get people registered to vote in my party. But if your ultimate goal at the end isn't to run a candidate and win, nobody has a reason to register in your party. So you're kind of in this, like, if you're just asking people, well, just register Libertarian because we're really cool and we have great ideas.
Because the sky is blue
But-
and trees are green.
And people say, well, yeah, but I register in a political party because I want to back candidates. You have to have the candidates to do that. And you have to be in this to run candidates and win elections.
Well, not just that, though. I mean, if you think about it, look, Adrian, when he polled, was polling at 8.7%. Now, I would argue that some of that 8.7 is the fact that it was Charlie Crist and
Rick Scott.
Rick Scott in there. And though not all 8.7% knew who Adrian was. Is that a fair statement to make?
Oh yeah, I would say I don't have at this point, you know, that high a name recognition. I would say probably about half those people knew who I was, and the other half were saying either,
well, he's
there's
not those two.
yeah, either there's a Libertarian in the race, great, or saying anybody but those two.
Right.
So I think I agree with you. There was a percentage of people that were just saying anybody but Scott and Chris.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. And then there was a big undecided in that, too. There
Yeah,
was
21%.
20% undecided.
Yeah.
22 almost.
Yeah.
But part of the reason why Adrian got that 8.7% in the polls, though, I do believe is because of the effort to get you on the ballot via petition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And that continuing that process, even like when we went out and we were trying to get petitions out yesterday and the day before, I mean, you get all different kinds of people. I mean, it's really a big mix. And for a guy that's like myself, who is definitely feels the reaction of these people, either in a positive or a negative light, and looks at it that way, and every once in a while it can be disheartening, because there was a lot of people we talked to that didn't know anything and wouldn't sign the petition.
You're literally, as they're walking by, saying, are you a registered voter? And they said, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I could have been saying, if you're a registered voter, I'm going to hand you $10 today. And they wouldn't have even known, because the first thing, are you a registered voter? I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Well, there's a certain segment of, actually, probably a good number of those people were probably libertarians, because there's just a certain segment of the population.
Why are you asking? Am I being detained?
Are you threatening me?
There's nothing more official than a person standing out front with a clipboard.
But some people just don't want to be bothered, and
Yeah.
that's fine. That's their right.
No.
That's their prerogative. So, but chances are a lot of those people probably agree with us.
Well, no. The other thing I would say is this, though. We talked about this when we were standing out front about what are some of the reasons that this country is in the shape that it's in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And one of it is a deterioration of the education system, where critical thinking and skills like that are not
Gone.
really there anymore. They're not honed. They're not trained. They're not. They want people to be good little citizens.
We don't teach children how to think. We teach children what to think.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Good point, Greg.
What to repeat?
But
Yeah.
but also, I think something else is going away that is it kind of breaks your heart a little bit, and it's curiosity. Like, if somebody's holding a pen and
Look,
paper,
I don't know what you're going to say, but I really don't care.
you're not curious. If somebody is going to ask you, "Oh, you're a registered voter," and you're holding something, like, is there any part of you that wants to know what they're
What it
doing
is.
out there?
Well, quite frankly, we're political animals, so we're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Tell me what you're doing.
But how do you know if it's politics or not?
Well, because you said voter. Are you
Because
a
you're asking if
registered
they're a
voter?
registered voter.
Are you registered? Okay,
I mean,
okay.
you're not asking.
I could be
Do
holding.
you- would you like brighter whites in your laundry?
Well, no. Here's the thing. I could be having a petition.
Maybe that should how you open it.
I
Yeah,
could-
me too. Sign this petition.
I could be there filling out a petition for exactly the issue that they have a problem with that they want to see solved.
Right.
Well, you got to remember, there is a certain segment of the population that is apathetic. Period.
Right.
No,
and
that's right.
They reject all forms of politics. I mean, they just, and that always blew my mind because, you can ignore it all you want, but the state is still going to have dominion over your life. You might as well get involved and try to have an impact on that.
We were doing this outside of the government center, so there's obviously an impact in your life of government when you're walking into
That's
the
a good
government
point.
center.
Yeah.
But and listen, and there's some people that wouldn't fill out the petition that I really had to respect because they said, you know what, I've never heard his name before. I don't know anything about him, and I don't feel comfortable. I research all the candidates before I would do that.
That's a fair answer.
And
I respect that answer.
I'm like, I completely understand. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah. I think some people use it as a line though. And there were some people that were like, well, I'm a Republican and I'm not going to fill this out, And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're a Republican.
Oh yeah, that's helpful outreach.
Now, I wasn't doing it for the LP, you know what I'm saying?
When someone says, I just have a petition to help someone get on the ballot, it doesn't mean you support or endorse them. It's just to have it, to get their name on the ballot and give the people a choice.
Right. More choices.
I only sign petitions for Republicans. And
Do you get that from Democrats?
No, I didn't get it from not one Democrat.
That
only
is funny.
Republicans.
That does seem to be much more pervasive among Republicans. Maybe it's because they make you sign a loyalty oath. That might have something to do with it.
But it proves my point that Republicans fall in line.
Yeah, it does.
And Democrats
It does.
fall in love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now, not one person said I'm a Democrat and I only support, I never heard the word Democrat in all the hundreds of people that we talked to.
Yeah, I didn't hear it once.
Not once. And you know that, I mean.
I think they're embarrassed of their party, too. I think they're more embarrassed of their party than the Republicans are of theirs.
Yeah. Well, they should be equally embarrassed, quite frankly.
Right.
Well, and in Florida, you should be more embarrassed because the Republicans are in charge in Florida.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
that's a good
that's
point.
true.
The 5-cent tax increase that's about to happen on the gas here in Pasco County is going to be
Republicans.
voted on by an entire Republican county commission.
Yeah.
Entire. There's no Democrat in, registered, there's no Democrats in that thing.
What's the latest on the red light cameras in Newport Richey?
They've gotten the contract in, and we've actually sent it to some people to look at. But it looks like whoever signed the contract a couple years ago, which is not the current city councilman, there's a couple that are still there, but most of them have changed over, signed a contract with no severability.
None. Until 2016, and it doesn't matter how much.
That's your government looking out for the taxpayers' best interest.
Hold on,
folks.
it's worth-
no severability.
It's
Yeah.
worse than that, though. They have to pay them a certain amount of money every month, even if they don't get
Even
the
if they
revenue.
don't get
in.
any tickets.
Like if that red light camera didn't produce one ticket, they still have to pay them, and it's a sizable amount of
It's
money.
thousands.
Isn't it
of-
like $14,000 a
It's
month?
thousands of dollars.
Well, I tell you, I intentionally.
run red lights.
Well, no, not run red lights, but I roll through right hand on
Oh,
red
right.
turns at 54 and 19 all the time, and I have not once gotten anything in the mail.
Well, I think
because
you have to
there's
have a
no-
license.
Well, hold on. I don't think there's any cameras there.
Yeah, I thought there was.
No.
On 54 and 19?
19, there's no camera there.
Well, it's not City of Newport Richey,
And it's not inside the city limits.
and the county doesn't have red light cameras.
Oh, well, then I've got to change my route.
Now, you kept going up another block to the next red light and did that there, then you'd be
Then you'd have
you'd
a
have
camera.
something.
Okay, good.
So just go to the Denny's, take the right at the Denny's.
Okay, yeah. From now on, that's how I'm going to do that.
Denny's not as good as IHOP. Just saying.
Just saying.
I have a fond appreciation for Denny's, just considering that, when I was a kid, I used to go to Denny's.
Oh yeah. There was nothing better at 1:30 in the morning. Than all right, time for Denny's.
Oh,
Hey.
listen, when I was a kid, not a kid, but, my
Yeah, late teens.
early 20s, and we'd go out to the bars, and then I didn't care where we stopped. I mean, I still had an obsession with pancakes then, and as long as my drunk behind got some pancakes, I didn't care what seat I was sitting in.
When I was a kid, I almost got when I was in high school, I actually almost got arrested at Denny's.
What'd you do?
You guys want to hear the story?
No, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
All right, my wife Kelly. At the time, I was dating her, but before I was dating her, she was dating this guy named Lance. Now, Lance was just a do nothing person. He was a dork for all intents. Not a dork, but he was just he just was a loser. I just put it to you that way. And he broke up with Kelly, and then I started dating her. So it was like he broke up with her. She was having a bad day. She was having a bad day, and then me and her started dating.
Being the opportunist that you are, you swooped in, is what you're saying?
Right.
You could say that.
So this is years and years of a rebound relationship.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. This is a permanent rebounder for Kelly. Well, me and Kelly started dating, and then one night, probably had a little bit to drink, and we went to Denny's, and halfway through the meal, Lance shows up at Denny's. Now, Lance doesn't say anything to me, really. He kind of gave me a dirty look. I give him a dirty look back, that kind of thing.
Now, was he there specifically to see Kelly, or was he
No,
just
he was
happened
just
to
going.
be there?
He
just
happened
to show
to
up.
be going to Denny's. Happened to be going to Denny's.
Denny's is good for everyone.
So, I was drinking, so I was kind of drunk
Obnoxious.
at the time. So
Yeah, let's just say
I
your
wanted-
personality was amplified.
yeah, I kind of wanted to throw down with the cat. So I end up stepping outside, and I'm outside, acting a fool. Oh, come outside, I'll kick your ass. He wouldn't come outside, so I mooned him. Now, when I say I mooned him, like if you know the Denny's, the glass is right
Yeah,
there.
so
right?
this is a cheeks pressed against the glass
This
type
is
of moon.
cheeks on the glass, moons over my hammy, right there. Just mooning them all day long. Okay, well, what I forgot was when I did that,
that
is
there's
they have
other people in the restaurant?
including a dude with a badge and a gun who happens to be considered a cop. So the cop comes outside and is like, son, come here. What are you doing? And then, oh, by the way, just so you can appreciate it, is that Lance had a window seat.
Right.
And it was the window that my cheeks were on. So
he had to finish his meal looking at that, I'm sure, grease stain from your butt cheeks on the window.
yeah. I'm sure I actually had a couple LaBiancas on there too, So at any rate, so the cop comes out, and when the cop comes out, he's all like, mad, he's real mad. I'm gonna arrest you, this and that. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, officer. They're just, things are just getting out of hand. He's like, all right, well, have a good evening. And so we leave at that point. And I've never seen Lance ever since that time frame.
Well, I have to say, it's a good thing that this was, I assume, the 1990s.
That's high school.
Okay. Because if it was the year 2013, you probably would have been pepper sprayed, tasers, beaten with a baton.
They would have found your dog and shot it.
Yeah, they would track down your dog and shot it, regardless of where it was. Thrown you in a squad car.
Kelly would have been handcuffed in the
tarred and
back of the
feathered.
car.
Forgotten you in a holding cell for like 6 days.
I'd have been an amputee.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be, having to drink your own urine to survive. So it's a good thing it happened in the 90s when police were still, public servants instead of,
And
the brute squad.
And look, I think that there's two. This brings up another point. We totally going off subject today, but
Our show prep is out the window. I'm so glad we stayed up
We
till 1
did-
a.m.
Look, we didn't have show prep. Who are we kidding?
when it comes to the militarization of the police, I do definitely blame the federal government for that militarization of the police.
Well,
But
I can't. No, hang on. I can't totally agree with you on that one. Because if we had local sheriffs and local law enforcement who actually, stood up and rejected that federal funding, then it would be a whole different ballgame. Because, that's part of the problem, is these sheriffs are not saying no.
No,
They're taking
No,
the money.
That is true.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's true. But my bigger point here is, when I was a kid, and when I was in high school, some of the crimes that were committed by the people that were my age were things like gas and go was always a big thing, right? I mean, everybody was. You always heard of a story of
Gas and go, dine and dash.
Yeah, dine and dash was also another big one. Big fights. So you'd have big, huge, West Side Story style fights.
Were they all dancing?
They weren't dancing, but you did have rival
Yeah.
schools would literally.
Oh,
you'd have a
just-
bunch
you'd
of
have
dudes
a
from one
time.
school and a bunch
Yeah.
of dudes from another school would meet in a parking lot and have these big, huge fights.
Like everyone would know for a week, and I know this because we actually went to rival schools. So-
Yeah. I remember the one off of Little Road. It was
Right.
this huge, big fight. It was
Yeah.
between the guys at Ridgewood and the guys at
and
golf.
the guys at golf.
I
went
was
to-
not there.
I
so.
went to Ridgewood and he went to golf.
I never saw, and we had those. My big rivalry. I went to Dunedin High School. My big rivalry was Tarpon. So all the time there used to be these big brawls out on the Dunedin Causeway,
Right.
which was our turf. We considered, and Tarpon rolling onto our turf. And I always thought that was the most ridiculous thing in the world. So I'd be out there, and every time there was a fight, I'd be like, "Yeah, you guys go at it," and I'd go talk to the girls. It was a perfect time. All the
Well,
basically
Oh
all
my
the
God.
all the boyfriends were out there,
Beating
punching
on
each
each
other's
other.
heads in for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it
I
was
mean,
like the perfect opening.
we went to rival high schools and there used to be big. I mean, we would try to steal each other's mascots, like not the actual person in the suit, but like like if they had like a statue of their mascot, and,
Oh, yeah.
the guys
Yeah.
would try to steal it. But
Yeah.
you'd know for a week that there was going to be like this fight on Friday after the football game in this parking lot. Everyone was going to go there, and like all week long, that's all you heard about in school. Well, they're fighting golf this week
And then they, if
Then they go, I wonder why the cops were showing up.
because everybody
Yeah.
knew.
Why are the cops there, man?
well,
Who
yeah,
squealed?
and
The
that's the thing.
Cubs.
And then they would set up like separate entrances. So away team go this side, you go through this gate. And they'd be like separating you right
Yeah.
from the parking
Right,
lot.
right.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
But the point, I was actually trying to make a point with all this, though. The point I was trying to make is some of the, and also there was a ton of shoplifting going on that I knew about when I was in high school. So there was a ton of shoplifting that was going on as well. So all of these advancements in crime fighting technology, part of it you can actually blame with like the people in the 90s that were doing all this stuff because, I mean, if all of this stuff is going on, what would you think is the reaction from the police?
Okay, hang on a second. I'm not sure that petty shoplifting, dine and dash, and gas and go
Means you get a tank.
warrants tanks
No, I think you're right.
and
that
body armor.
I'm not saying the reaction isn't way extreme or
I
the
mean,
wrong approach.
Let's kill
I'm just
everybody's
saying-
dog.
Andy Griffin could handle this stuff.
Let's kill everyone's
I don't
dog
know,
because
Alex
they
is a big
shoplifted.
Hold on a second. First off, it wasn't just petty shoplifting, by the way. These guys were skilled. I mean, I was by no means skilled at this, but these dudes were skilled at it. I know dudes
Wait a
that used
second.
to sell.
I think I just heard an admission there.
No, I wasn't. I'm not good at shoplifting.
Well,
How do you know?
Well, because I've never been arrested, so I would never go and do it though.
better at it than you think.
I would never. No, but again, I never went and did it. I never went and did it. But I knew a lot of people that did, though. I knew a lot of people that
so
did.
you knew that you weren't skilled in it, so you didn't do it.
Well, that and it's wrong.
So if you were
Okay.
more talented, you would have been out there right
It
in the
was
face.
just a weird
Nah,
way to
'cause you
say
just- I know it's a weird way to say it.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah. I'll go out for the record and say I've never shot. Oh, I take that back. I can't say that. When I was 5, when I was 5,
God.
I did steal a package of smoke bombs from the Ben Franklin 5 and dime. That's a true story.
There you go.
I hope the statute of limitations is expired.
It might be.
Yeah.
One of my kids, we were at Disney one time, and you have the Crocs and they have the holes in it, and they had the little buttons that you stick in the holes, and everybody had. My little one didn't have any money, like actual allowance money. So the other two did, and they're picking them all out, and so like we're in the tram, and they're like, "Oh, look which one I got! Look which one I got!" My little one was like, pulls out a handful and says, "Look the ones I got."
Nice.
Nice.
Well, wait a second. Stealing from Disney is just self-defense because if you go to Disney, they're stealing from you left and right.
There's
$8 for a Coke. Yeah. You should be allowed to just grab a handful of something in the gift shop.
all right then.
WileyForGovernor.com.
Oh shit. Oh, sorry. Oh no, it's 9. We're still good. 9.
We're good.
Yeah, we don't go live on the other one until 10 a.m. All right, so at any rate, though, you're right. Look, I think what happens is that the people complain about all the crime, and so they say, well, we're going to do this in order to solve the crime
And
by
they go
buying a
overboard.
tank, and they buy a tank. But in their minds, they got approval from the people to do this because the people were complaining.
Yeah, I don't think the people complaining about shoplifting means let's go get a tank.
Well, no, I think, again, you're only taking one of the instances of all the different stuff that was going on, though.
As humorous as it is, the reality is the reason we have the militarization of these police forces is the war on drugs. The war on drugs has made it possible for the drug dealers and the street gangs to arm themselves to the teeth to become a paramilitary themselves.
Right.
And I can understand the police saying, hey, we have to be able to match these guys. When you are running the risk of serving a warrant on a house that has half a dozen guys armed with AK-47s and armor-piercing bullets, they've got to come up with a plan to get home alive. So, I can understand where it comes from, but it just says that we need to end the war on drugs rather than escalate this further.
Yeah, it's a good point. What were you going to say?
But the other side of that equation is now they assume every household has a bunch of guys with AK-47s and armor-piercing bullets. If they're going on a someone's grass is too high or a code enforcement or
Right.
a noise complaint, they're coming in like they're going to war.
I had and I get a lot of questions. Just how do I deal with officials and things like that, because I do a lot of work in Tallahassee and all this other stuff. So people ask me questions a lot. And I got a question from a woman that basically she had gone to her sheriff and was questioning why the sheriff had just purchased a tank.
Check.
Are we there?
What just happened?
I think I'm
Okay.
hearing it now.
There we go.
Okay.
Sorry, minor technical glitch there.
Still a minor technical glitch
yeah.
there.
You kicked something.
No,
didn't
my
you?
feet have not moved the entire time.
Okay, well, I get these questions all the time from people, and I got this one, and she was asking. She had emailed her sheriff's office saying, why did you guys buy a tank? And he basically emailed her back that said, with all of our deputies are facing, people with heavily armed. And so we have this to protect our officers. So she said, what do I say back? And I said, well, say, then you won't mind when I get one, because I'm going to face those people before you get there.
Yeah. No.
And I think that's a reasonable benchmark. And I always thought it was. The people should be allowed to be as well armed as law enforcement.
Right.
Because the people, if law enforcement faces that as a threat, so do the people.
The people faced it first.
Right.
Because
exactly.
who's the one that called 911? The person facing those violent criminals.
So obviously, I don't believe that individuals should have nuclear weapons
Or tanks.
Or-
I don't even think you should have tanks, but I don't
I
think
do
the
want a
police
tank,
should
though.
either.
I would like to have a tank.
That's all you
A
guys
tank
are,
would be really
statists.
cool. But having said that, no, I think that the benchmark should be that the people should be allowed to be as well armed as law
As
enforcement.
the police.
Yeah.
I believe that.
And, if law enforcement needs more, then the people should be allowed to have more. And if the law enforcement wants the people to have less, then they need to scale themselves back.
I get it's just such a bad gauge to try to gauge for people.
So at least I can have a MRAP or a Bearcat,
There you go. There you
which
go.
would be cool.
If you're in Pasco, they have the
What kind of
Bearcat.
gas mileage they get? Should
Yeah,
we...
4 miles to the gallon.
Oh, yeah, we're not going to have a Bearcat for our campaign
No.
vehicle.
This
yeah, that's not going to happen.
There's a gentleman that wrote a book called The Rise of the Warrior Cop. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but
No.
it's a
Now, I
book
haven't
that's out
haven't
there.
read it, but I've heard of that book. Yeah,
And but now there's been police that have actually given like rebuttals and stuff to this. And in one of the rebuttals, one of the police, it was a guy up north somewhere, I think it was in Minnesota or something, or Wisconsin, that basically said that, well, they're on the battlefield every day. So they're equating the neighborhoods that we live in to
As a
battlefields.
well, yeah. I mean, our federal government has classified.
But they've taken that mentality, though.
well, yeah, yeah, they have.
And that's the problem.
The homeland is the battlefield, according to our federal government and now our local governments. When you're talking about these programs like irregular warfare support, yeah, that's their mentality. We are the enemy, and the United States is the battleground. What do you give me that look for?
I just appreciate you finishing while you were done interrupting me. So,
You're gonna miss that.
no. Actually, there's a lot of things about you that I'll miss What you just did then is not one of them. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna have to get it in a lot today then.
It's not. Oh no. That's why you get a little bit of a carte blanche today. Like I'm halfway smiling
Is he
I'm
smiling
like,
like,
I know
aw.
that Greg has a lot more
Hey, let me finish a haircut.
class than
I
that.
I wasn't done with
You
my
know what I'm saying?
interruption.
Is that the right word for it? I don't know.
I
don't
don't
know.
think Eddie would describe me with
Etiquette.
a lot of class.
I think he has more etiquette than that.
He has more etiquette. Oh, that's a good
There
word.
you
Ooh, that's a
go.
good word. That's a good word. Adrian's not
you
allowed to
spell
say
that,
that word
Alex?
today. Ediquute. Educate.
You were close.
You were almost-
almost there.
Almost a little kind of there.
Educate. So that's all right. All right, we're getting to we're
You
getting,
two brew kit?
all right, we're going to get to the news here. For those of you that don't know, Bradley Manning was convicted or was sentenced to 35 years in prison for his passing of the documents to WikiLeaks. If you're unfamiliar with the story, Bradley Manning was
You've been living under a rock for
well,
one.
that is true.
That is
but
true.
Bradley Manning was a private during the Gulf War, was privy to a ton of information, and he sent 700,000 different classified documents and videos to WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks showed that stuff out. Now, the stuff that was on there, and nobody's been able to say that somebody was actually harmed with the information that was put out there.
They've alleged it though.
They've alleged. Oh, they're alleging it all day long, but nobody can point to anything. But he was, they found out it was him that did it. He was in the hole for like a year and a half, 2 years, I think is what it was. And then they finally had the trial, and during the trial, he was found to be guilty. Now, he was not guilty on a lot of different charges, but he was guilty on some charges. I mean, he had a lot of charges against him.
He got a lot of espionage charges, but what he didn't get was aiding the enemy.
Yeah, he didn't get aiding the enemy. But they did sentence him to 35 years.
Well, the fact that he wasn't convicted of aiding the enemy is a good indication that the information he released did not put
Right.
anyone in harm's way. So, and that was always my benchmark for support of Bradley Manning. If the information he released was just information that showed what had really happened in a past tense sort of way, I was okay with that. But if he was putting out operational intelligence of, active missions that could have endangered our people, that's a different story. But I never saw any evidence of that, and apparently neither did the military jury because they didn't convict him on that.
Yeah. Now he has to serve a minimum of a third of his sentence, meaning he'll be eligible for parole in just over 8 years. At the very earliest, could be released under parole as soon as 2021. So you could see Bradley Manning getting out of jail in 2021. He can earn 120 days off per year for good behavior and job performance. Like, you got to do a good job in there. Well, just tell him not to record nothing, while he's in there.
The question is whether you will actually see Bradley Manning coming out of jail or not, because it may be Cecilia Manning, Chelsea
Chelsea.
Manning,
Chelsea Manning. Yeah,
Chelsea
we're gonna
Manning
get into
coming
that
out
there in a second.
out
Now,
of jail.
Now, and this is just a weird twist to the
Which-
story, by the
Dude,
way.
really?
Well, I think it takes away so much from the story.
You know what?
too.
It actually does take away. Look, let me just say it like this.
Well,
First
let's
off,
go into what it is.
well, hold on. Let me just say this first off. I do consider the guy to be a person that was put into a situation that saw just complete injustice going on, completely
Right.
lied to the American people. Our government lying to the American people about what's going on over there and uncovering up some very some atrocities.
Yeah, Bradley Manning was a whistleblower.
Yeah, he definitely
Yes.
was a whistleblower.
And this administration said they were going to protect whistleblowers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but this administration said a lot of things.
He'll be in prison. He'll be fine.
Safest place for him.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But with that being said, we shouldn't denigrate the data or the information that he put out because he happens to have certain feelings or characteristics or whatever. Like, those two things are separate issues.
And frankly, I couldn't care less. Whatever the guy's gender identity is, that's his business. That's
Right.
fine. I don't have any problem with it. And I don't believe that Bradley Manning should even be in Leavenworth.
Right.
I don't believe that he should have been convicted at all. Having said that, I ain't paying for his sex change.
Yeah,
as a
because
taxpayer.
It does come
Right.
out that he thinks that he's he does feel like he's a woman and that he wants gender reassignment. He wants to basically instead of a dude, be a chick.
And he wants that to, he wants the
He wants the hormone.
federal government to pay for his hormone therapy and
Yeah.
everything required for the transition. So not on my dime, thanks.
No, not on your dime. Even though it's funny that you say not on your dime, though, because I would imagine that because of the treatment that he got, if you were sitting on a jury and he was suing the government for a lot of money, that you'd probably find in favor of him.
That is yeah, you caught me on
Yeah.
that one. If I was on a jury and he initiated a civil suit against the federal government, I would
You
be
would
very
give him
likely
money.
to
Large amounts
rule
of
in
money.
his favor.
Like if it was 15, 20 mil, I don't think you'd budget.
Oh
that.
no, I would. Yeah, that's just too much. That's unreasonable.
Well, for being locked up in a hole in solitary confinement for a couple years?
I think the awards going to people are just
Okay, well, we'll get
insane
into
in a
that.
lot of
Okay,
cases.
okay.
But having said that, yeah, I probably would find in his favor in a civil trial against
Yeah.
the federal government.
Yeah. So
What about you, Knobs?
I would absolutely support Bradley or Chelsea Manning in a civil suit. I don't think that gender reassignment or anything is going to be provided by the military while he's in prison or she's in prison. I think and I don't think the American people want to pay for that or should pay for that. So I just don't think it's going to happen. They've already said they don't provide it, and to get it, he's going to have to sue them. And I don't think it's going to hold up in court if they do that.
Well, one way or another, he's going to be popular in there.
oh,
I can't even believe you went there.
WileyForGovernor.com,
Hey,
folks.
wait a second.
WileyForGovernor.com.
You see the picture of him in that blonde wig?
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
my
but-
God. Okay.
First glance, he was kind of cute.
I just, you know what, man? No, I'm not going there. I'm not even going there.
And the poll numbers are dropping.
Yeah, looks like it's 5.5%. There you go.
Like, I can't even believe you went there.
This is why I'm getting off the air, folks.
So I would say,
I have a hard time with
Self-censoring?
Yeah, I was going to say my governor, my internal governor,
Oh,
which
my
is damage,
God.
which could potentially damage my campaign for governor.
all right. Now, I would imagine, so in this room, though, we're looking at about 100% sympathy for Bradley Manning.
Yes.
We're all going with that, right?
For the fact that he has been jailed for releasing the secrets, yeah, I do not support that.
Now, there is some people that do not have any support or sympathy for Bradley Manning. I'm going to read you a quote right here, and then I'll tell you at the end of it who said the quote.
Is it like a quiz?
Maybe.
Okay.
There do have to be...
Ooh, Mr. Carter, I know.
There do have to be laws to protect some secrets. I think if you've got the plans on how to make a nuclear bomb that is a state secret, you give that to the enemy that is being treasonous, said this person. Even if you reveal it, you just have to have laws against it. What Manning did was just willy-nilly, just release millions of pages of things, and I think some people have said there is potentially some harm from that. Individual agents that could have been killed or put at risk from this. So there is a problem with that. So I just can't support that. If you are doing something for a political purpose, in fact, in some ways the Snowden case is a little bit different, said this person. But even with the Snowden case, I still think you have to have laws against what he did. So he did break the law. Snowden, if he were here, could maybe make the defense, well, I released the information because I'm a whistleblower. I'm telling you the head of the intelligence agency isn't telling the truth, so I'm correcting a lie by another official. Some have said that he would have an easier time with that argument if he had come to a member of Congress and gone through the official whistleblower kind of pathway, said this person. I think they still would have to have a problem. They would still probably put him in jail and throw away the key. Do you think that?
Wait,
we'll leave it at that. And then the other thing was the person didn't have any sympathy for him either.
So it was John McCain.
Negative.
well,
Donald Rumsfeld. Lindsey Graham.
No.
Wait a second. That last sentence you read said that this person, I know who this person is, so I'm disqualifying myself from the guessing.
Well, I know who it is too.
Oh, so you weren't serious about John McCain? Well, first I thought it was my 97-year-old neighbor up the block, Mr. Harrison, because it sounded like him at the willy-nilly point. But what this person is saying is that even if he had gone through the proper channels, as he was saying, of going to Congress as a whistleblower, he still should have been jailed?
Yeah. Well,
What?
yeah, he's saying that they still would have thrown him in jail. They still would have. Hold on, let me say it again. I think they still would have probably put him in jail and thrown away the key. I don't think that's saying that necessarily he supports that part of it if he did it that way. I can't really. Again, I'm not trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm saying he didn't really say that.
I can understand people wanting him to be charged because in his position in the military, he had access to this information. He used that position to leak that information. So I can understand at least to that degree that he exploited his position in the military. He did what he knew he shouldn't have done by releasing classified information. So as far as that law goes, I can understand them holding him accountable to that. I still think he should not face anything. But I at least understand that thinking in that he exploited his position and released information that should have been classified that shouldn't have been out there. So to a degree, I agree with that, but I think they've taken it way too far. And with what he released, like the video footage of American soldiers killing innocent civilians in Iraq, it is just as important for us to know about that as it is for us to know about the NSA spying on us. Mm-hmm. And to me, there's no difference between what Bradley Manning did and what Edward Snowden did because of that fact.
Except for Snowden actually was a little bit smarter about it, to be honest with you.
Oh,
I mean, he definitely was smarter about it because
I think he handled himself and the release much more intelligently.
Than,
but as far as what they're doing, I see no difference.
Oh, no. I agree with you there.
Under that logic, and I'm curious, under that, then presumably you would think that Julian Assange has absolutely has done nothing wrong, because he was not under any obligation under the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice, or anything like that.
Absolutely, and I think that that's the key as to why he wasn't convicted for aiding the enemy, is because it's not like he took that information and gave it to the Chinese or the Russians or to Al-Qaeda. He gave it to a news organization. Some people don't consider WikiLeaks a news organization. I do, but because of who he gave that information to, I think that's what saved him on the aiding the enemy charge.
Yeah. Now, let me get back to the quote, by the way. So the person that said this, who doesn't have any sympathy for Bradley Manning or Edward Snowden, is actually Rand Paul. So those quotes that sounded like could be McCain, could be anybody, could be some of those other people, was actually Rand Paul. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands.
The same Rand Paul that did the filibuster and said you shouldn't drone bomb on, and ruin someone's cafe experience?
Well, who came back later on and said, but if the cops said it was okay, that they should be able to drone bomb a guy coming out of a convenience store.
Right. So do we really understand Rand Paul's position on anything?
And, quite frankly, at the time, wasn't the government denying that they were using drones in that fashion anyway at all?
Right.
So if that's the case, wasn't he releasing classified information?
Yes.
Let me just say this as well, and I want to wrap it up, and I'm going to bring Alan West into this. And I'm going to bring it in a weird way, though, so I want you to understand. I attribute what Alan West did in a similar way to what Bradley Manning did. And let me explain why I mean by that. Is that Alan West was actually discharged from the military. He was discharged from the Army. He was in the Army. He was discharged from the Army. And the reason he was discharged is that, and this is his story, so you'll have to go with what his story was here, is that there was an ambush coming. They knew there was an ambush coming. He grabbed somebody that he thought knew something about this ambush coming, and he shot a weapon behind the guy. Like he shot basically he was terrorizing this guy.
Yeah, intimidation factor.
Yeah, he was interrogating this guy, intimidating him to get him to spill the beans. Now, because of that, and again, this is what Alan West claims, is that because of that, his soldiers didn't die. if I was in his position, if I was in his shoes at that time, I can't say I wouldn't have done the same thing, except for this. Sometimes you have to do things where doing the right thing, or at least what you thought was the right thing, is going to cost you your job.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
if you have
and
to
you have
be-
to make that decision.
and you have to be prepared for that decision, even if it's going to cost you everything. Both Bradley Manning and Edward Snowden, I feel, did the same thing. Is that they looked at what was going on and were like, I can't be a party to this. I have to do something about it. Now, Bradley Manning was under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, like Greg was talking about. And so I definitely have sympathy for him for going to jail. But at the same time, if he knew ultimately that's what was going to happen, it shouldn't change what you were going to do. You got to do the time because you were put in the position to be able to do the time. And it sucks. And like I said, I feel bad for the guy. But that's what happens. Same thing goes with Snowden. Look, Snowden could have stayed in Hawaii. He could have just done his job, not worried about anything, hung out with his hot girlfriend, had a good time.
Wife.
Hot wife. Was it a wife or a girlfriend?
I think it's a girlfriend.
I think
Oh,
it's
it's
a
a
girlfriend. I don't think
girlfriend?
it's a
Okay.
wife. But he chose to go this route. Now he ends up having to stick it in Russia for a while and still trying to figure out a place to go. So I will say I think his plan had some snags in it because you should have just done it from Iceland or something else like that. But you got to run. I completely understand you run. But if you get caught, you know what though? That's the choice you made. And I think that it's a Dr. Martin Luther King quote about
You're
respecting the law. Greg, I know you
you're
know
under-
this quote, Greg.
I might mess it up, but when there is an unjust law and a man breaks an unjust law, he is in fact showing the highest respect for the law.
Yeah.
That's paraphrased.
Yeah, it's paraphrased, but that's almost
That's
exactly
pretty
what-
close. Yeah.
So, and again, I put West in the same. I know it's weird to say when I put West in the same thing, but I think that he was given a choice and he made a choice at the time, and he can look back now and disagree with that choice, and that's perfectly fine if he does that. But you got to do the time if you do the crime. You know what's considered a crime at the time, but you got to do it though.
Yeah, what he did is a violation of the Geneva Convention, but under the circumstances, I'm not sure that I would have done any different either. You
His-
know,
I
so
don't know though. I don't know.
hate-
I wasn't there at the time.
yeah, I mean,
When you have-
it's a whole different scenario when you're in it.
Yeah.
What his statement was, and it's a long statement, and I'm not going to read it all, just the end of it. He says, this is from Bradley Manning. When I chose to disclose classified information, I did so out of love for my country and a sense of duty to others. If you deny my request for a pardon, I will serve my time knowing that sometimes you have to pay a heavy price to live in a free society. I will gladly pay that price if it means we could have a country that is truly conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all women and men are created equal.
I do find it funny that you put women and men first, though.
Yeah.
Adrian, the same, right? It's
I
men
reacted
and
the
women,
same
right?
way,
That's
yeah.
normally how it goes, right?
Or all people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just it's just kind of funny though. Like this, I do consider this guy a hero, but like it's just weird that you want to be a girl now though. Like I don't understand that part, but
It's a shame because this whole gender reassignment and everything is really taking away from what the true story
Yeah.
here is.
And
Yeah.
Because
even-
it is really none of our damn business what
Right.
Chelsea Manning, Bradley Manning, however he or she wants to refer to themselves. It is none of our business, and it doesn't matter. That is not the story.
And,
Yeah.
and this is
Right.
what happened. You know, I just read a statement from him that was actually well written and a really an
that was-
inspiring thing. And you guys both brought it to gender reassignment automatically instead of the validity of what he was saying. And I
Yeah.
think that that's sad, and that's what the media has done is turn this into his transgender issues instead of being able to look at what he was saying and judge it on the merits of his words.
I agree completely. And it's a real shame that it is a distraction,
Yeah.
from the real issue.
yeah, it does suck.
The sad thing is, in the mainstream media, we have heard more about Bradley Manning over the last 24 hours than we have over the last 24 months, and it's only because
Right.
of the gender reassignment issue.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that does suck, by the way. That really does. Now, also in this story is you got the Glenn Greenwald aspect of it, where Glenn Greenwald has a partner, a guy by the name of David Miranda. He was actually held in the UK airport for 9 hours under suspecting of terrorism charges. Now, this is one of the reasons that things like the Patriot Act, like the NDAA, and what the UK does and their versions of it is so horribly bad. Because this guy, they know he's a reporter. They know he's not a terrorist, yet they utilize the laws that they've created in order to stop him from going any further because they think that he might have some classified information on him, and they basically destroyed all of his computers, and they went to to the Guardian's offices to try to destroy the computers there as well.
Well,
Right.
I'll tell you what they're looking for in that case. Snowden has sent out a kind of like his last ditch effort, and what this is this is an encrypted file or an encrypted series of files, and a handful of people have the encryption key on these files. And what he said is, if anything happens to me, here's how to decrypt these files, release them. So what I think is they're going nuts trying to get their hands on these
those
files,
files.
on the encryption keys. But even if they can't get the cipher, they can still, they have the capability to decrypt these.
Right.
It may take some time, but they'll be able to decrypt them. So I really think that's what they're after. They want to know what else is out there, because the one thing I'm sure of is there's a lot more out there that we haven't heard yet. And
Well-
it's just going to get worse and worse and worse about what our government is really doing to us.
Yeah, they're pissing off Greenwald, by the way. Like, this guy's pissed. This guy's getting mad. So now what they're doing is now they're putting out the UK stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Right.
Look, Greenwald, I like Greenwald because this guy's a vindictive SOB. Like,
Well-
this guy is vindictive. You want to hold my partner up for 9 hours? We're releasing all the crap on you.
Well, here's the thing.
And he said it.
Greenwald may very well end up being in a one vehicle car accident.
Yeah.
And then after that they'll release, oh yeah, he's been struggling with a drug problem or
Right.
that sort of thing. So that may be what his future holds.
Yeah, no, it might be. But you know what, though? This is one of the, I believe this. Look, ideologically, Greenwald is definitely not a libertarian, I don't think. I do think that when it comes to civil liberties, he's with us all day
civil
long.
libertarian.
Yeah, he's a
but
civil
he's
libertarian.
also a socialist.
Yeah, but
Right.
he believes in big government in certain aspects.
Well, regardless of his political bent, he's releasing the truth.
He's being
Yeah.
a true reporter.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's being a reporter, though. Yeah, ultimately, he's being a reporter. And you wouldn't know where he's... Look, with some of the stuff he releases, the way he talks, man, you'd think he's a libertarian. I mean, you really would.
Yeah.
But when you have somebody like Greenwald, who is just fearless, look, this is the kind of media guys you need. Like I think one of the things that you're starting to witness here is you're starting to see this really difference in the media. You have a certain segment of the media that is just lock, stock, and barrel, like the MSNBC crowd that is lock, stock, and barrel. They are public, or they're the Pravda of America, basically.
Right.
And then you have guys like Greenwald, who you would be like, who would think, oh, they're with them, and Greenwald's like, screw you. I'm going to expose all the corruption. I don't care who's doing it. You know what I mean? We weren't just a bunch of lefties because Bush was doing it. We're doing it on both sides, and they're getting more and more brazen with it, which is really great to see guys like Greenwald actually doing stuff like this. You got Ben Swan out there. You
Right.
got Greenwald out there. Even some of the local stuff, like what Deason does. Deason puts out some good stuff. We got some local guys that are doing it. You might be starting to see a return of
To real
investigative
journalism.
journalism.
Yeah.
I love Mike Deason, and I've told him and I've told everybody I know, if we had a Mike Deason in every major city in the United States, this would be a whole lot different country.
Yep.
Or a Ben Swan or Greenwald, and with national news. I mean, I think you're seeing a resurgence of real journalism. Now they're being, listen, Ben Swan has left his position, and but you're seeing a real resurgence of alternative media starting to be real journalism and starting to get mainstream attention.
Yeah, yeah. And then you have the investigative journalism happening at the 1787 Network, which you'll hear more of after the break, and we'll be live on Tan Talk 1340 after these words. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Try everything to break me.
is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Greetings from Vitaline Incorporated, a Florida corporation based in Clearwater, Florida. This year, Vitaline Incorporated celebrates 26 years serving the medical community with associates around the state. How do they do it? Simply put, Vitaline Incorporated meets their medical needs by providing high-tech instrumentation and respiratory care with focused accessories to hospitals, long-term care facilities, durable medical equipment dealers, and physicians' practices. Our products are on display at VitaLineInc.com. Please visit us on the web for details on the products and services we offer. Vitaline Inc. is a proud sponsor of the Liberty Underground Radio Show.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
New technology is being unveiled by the 1787 Radio Network. The Liberty Underground Show is offering you, our sponsors, special rates on subliminal advertising.
You will buy advertising from us.
Studies show that subliminal advertising is 8,412% more effective than standard radio ads.
You will write us a check today.
Call 1-800-575-1787 today.
Call it now, right now.
For more information on your sponsorship opportunities, that's 1-800-575-1787 to get your ad running today.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
You know the system is broken and you hear over and over again about the issues. Are you tired of attending monthly meetings, hearing about the problems, but never hearing about the solutions? Do you want to know how to be effective as an activist? The Neighborhood Project is a step-by-step plan on how you can restore the Republic, starting in your own community. This book was written to show you as an individual how to obtain and keep real political power in your own neighborhood and how this method is vital to restoring honest leadership at every level of government. This book is not reinventing the wheel. It is to show you how to pick up the wheel and use it. Go to 1787network.com and click on the Neighborhood Project logo to pre-order the book before our February 8th release. All pre-orders also include the Neighborhood Project workbook for free. The Neighborhood Project, your way to restore the Republic.
to the roots of the man with the rifle in his hand. Don't be mistaken, I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs appear, it's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snitker and Adrian Wiley on the 1787 Radio Network.
Morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater. We're back on 1787network.com. This is Alex, co-host Liberty Underground. It's hour number 2 of the show, but hour number 1 on Tan Talk 1340. Adrian, Danielle, and Greg Bowen in studio today. Beautiful day. Welcome back. First off, I'd like to say thank you very much to the Tan Talk Radio Network for bringing us back on. They were always good people, even after the even after we had to go off the air for a little bit. But we did work something out, and you will hear the Liberty Underground show live from 10 to 11 a.m. on Tan Talk 1340. So if you're driving around listening, we appreciate it very much. Go to our website, 1787network.com, and you can actually see the show if you would like. Adrian, doing well?
Pushing buttons, levers, and knobs here.
Pushing levers and knobs. Danielle, doing well?
I'm doing good.
Bowen, how you doing?
Spectacular.
There you go. We're going to get right into it, though. We get an hour with you guys, so we're going to get right into it, though. First story. You know, we're definitely a political show, and we talk a lot about, politics, and we say that all of these people are all bought and paid for, and a lot of times you just don't have all the proof that you need to do this. But there's a woman by the name of Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. She left a voicemail for a lobbyist in which she basically was begging for contributions. And she was utilizing her position to justify why she should get this money.
Now, this is from 2010.
Yeah, this is from 2010. But we just found out about it, though.
Right. It's a new story that's just being put out. In fact, it was just put out August 17th, just a few days ago. But the actual voicemail is from 2010. So I just thought that, in full disclosure, we need to put out the dates.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we ready for the clip, sir?
Yeah, we're rolling now.
Rolling now.
We're currently buffering.
We're buffering
We're
now.
buffering,
Yeah,
huh?
we are buffering now.
Okay, well,
Hang on.
Corruption in Congress.
There we go.
Listen to this phone call, audio recording that Eleanor Holmes Norton left. She's a congresswoman on a lobbyist answering machine. They're so brazen. This is a Democrat, too. They're so brazen that she thought nothing of leaving this message. Listen.
This is Eleanor Norton, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. I noticed that you have given to other colleagues on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. I am a senior member, a 20-year veteran, and am chair of the Subcommittee on Economic Development, Public Buildings, and Emergency Management. I'm handling the largest economic development project in the United States. I was, frankly, surprised to see that we don't have a record, so far as I can tell, of your having given to me despite my long and deep work. In fact, it's been my major work on the committee and subcommittee has been essentially in your sector. I'm simply candidly calling to ask for a contribution. As a senior member of the committee and a subcommittee chair, we have obligations to raise funds, and I think it must have been me who hadn't, frankly, done my homework to ask for a contribution earlier. So I'm trying to make up for it by asking for one now when we particularly need contributions, particularly those of us who have the seniority and the chairmanships and are in a position to raise the funds. I'll send you a follow-up note with appreciation for having heard me out. Thanks again.
Wow. I mean, just wow would be the only thing that I can say here. This congresswoman feels so entitled that she's almost insulted that this PAC or this organization hasn't actually just stepped up and given her the money.
Well, they gave money to everybody else.
Yeah, they gave money to everybody else, but they didn't give any money to her. And so she needed to call them and utilize that. I've been on the committee for 20 years. And that you got to make sure that you give me money as well. I'm on important committees here.
You're bribing everyone else. Why not me? I guess it's my fault since I didn't ask for the bribe. So now I'm asking for the bribe.
Now
so here I am.
Yeah,
Give me money.
And this came to us from actually the Young Turks. Which, if you know who the Young Turks is, we've actually interviewed Cenk Unger before, and he is definitely. I mean, he's a progressive all day long. He is not a libertarian or liberty-minded or anything else.
No, not at all.
Look, this guy got canned from MSNBC because he wouldn't toe the pro-Obama line.
Yeah, see, that's one thing about him is, lefty, especially on economic issues. I mean, just hardcore lefty. But he calls it like he sees it.
He's honest.
Yeah, and he will point out corruption across political lines. So for that, at least, you got to give him credit.
Absolutely. But the other thing is this. This is a congresswoman. It wasn't her aide. It wasn't somebody else on the staff. She called herself and did not find any problem nor issue with leaving this message.
Well, and she goes into like how she's going to be overseeing this huge amount of spending, and it's almost like if you want any favor, you haven't given me any money, and I've noticed.
Well, here's my theory on that. I think that the attitude of corruption and graft is so pervasive that she may not even realize at this point that she's doing anything wrong. She may be under the assumption of, hey, this is just the way things work.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it. This is what you're supposed to do. I mean, that was kind of her tone on the recording was, oh, yeah, it's my fault because, yeah, you haven't given me my money yet, and I'm on the committee, so I know you have to give me money, but it's my fault because I haven't reminded you that you... and she knows that she's leaving this on a recording.
Right. And it was almost jovial at the end, like, so here I am asking.
My question
are you kidding?
Is why has she not been brought up on charges?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess...
Hold on. Do you know why she hasn't been brought up on charges?
I have no idea.
Well, I can tell you why. Because what she did is not illegal in their mind.
Well, because
it may not be illegal at all.
And it probably isn't. She probably toes that line.
Right.
Where she just informs the lobbyist how much spending she's in charge of. And she just lets them know that she noticed that he's giving money to everyone but her. There was no clear, if you want something done, where's my money? But it was very much, if you read between the lines of what she said, it's implied, but she didn't say it.
Well, here's the thing. It may not be technically illegal. It is clearly
unethical.
And unabashedly unethical. And she doesn't seem to have any conscience about that, nor does she have any hesitation to just flat out violate ethics. I really think she doesn't see herself as doing anything wrong. That's just how it works in Washington.
Well, you got to remember, look, a lot of people say, well, we live in an entitlement society nowadays, is what they say, right?
Yes.
This is she believes that she's entitled to this. Like, she's done the work needed that you have to give me this. This is the way it works. You give me the money, I vote for your stuff. That's the way it works.
Yeah,
and
you're
she
right.
Says, and basically, when you listen to it, it's like, and obviously you know that this is how it works because you've donated to everyone but me.
Yeah, right.
Now, the Young Turks, which, again, when it comes to information like this, they will put out the truth on stuff, and they'll go after Dems just like they go after Republicans. Well, they probably go after Republicans a little bit worse than Dems at times, but they will still, when something's this outright,
when it's egregious, they'll
do it. And here's the thing: the Young Turks is like the #1 show on YouTube. These guys have billions of views. Like when when Cenk Unger went over to MSNBC, in all reality, he was doing MSNBC a favor. I mean, he really was. He gets more viewers on YouTube than they get on their TV station.
And just for anyone listening,
probably true.
You can
it's absolutely true.
Yeah, they probably only have tens of thousands at any given time.
Well,
Maybe they might break 100,000 viewers at any
They
given
make
time.
a couple hundred. The 375, I think, is.
Is that where they're at? Yeah, all right. So low hundred thousands.
Yeah.
If anyone would like to subscribe to the 1787 Network channel, you can do that on YouTube.
Yeah, we're in the high dozens.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just broke 100.
Yeah. You know what's funny is though I looked on all of our other pages. All of us have more than that though.
Well,
that's
page
brand
just
new.
started.
That's why the 1787 Network YouTube channel is brand new.
It just started.
Yeah.
It just started a few weeks ago. So go and subscribe on there. The old channall that we were using was the Constitutional Defense.
It was actually my personal
Right, which
YouTube
was-
channel,
which
which has
was-
now been transitioned into all
Wiley
Wiley for
for
Governor
Governor.
all the time.
So we've decided to split the two. So because we've been off Tan Talk for a little while, so we have a lot of listeners that haven't heard, kind of some of the updates of what's gone on. We actually have a new YouTube channel, so go ahead and subscribe on that. And the other one is just going to be all Wiley all the time. WileyForGovernor.com.
And for those of you who are listening on the stations of the Tan Talk Network, you're listening into hour number 2 of our 3-hour broadcast. Hours number 1 and hours number 3 from 9 to 10 and from 11 to noon are available on Ustream, and you can check that out by going to 1787network.com, following the link to our live Ustream audio and video channel.
Yep, absolutely. But to get back to the point of this story, is that guys like the Turks and guys like us do see the money in politics and see the corruption that goes along with this money. Where we part ways is in the solution. And this is what I wanted to bring up, because this is something that is happening both on the left and the right now a lot more, which is actually kind of scary. Because what Unger says to do is to go to this thing called wolf-pack.com. And I went there last night, and they talked about how the money in politics is the biggest problem. So what they want to do is they want to repeal the corporate personhood thing. They want to make an amendment to the Constitution that repeals corporate personhood and that publicly finances political campaigns.
Yeah, that's not the answer.
Not even
Not
close to
even
the
close.
answer. Not even close to the answer.
Well, I don't know if I have a problem with repealing personhood for corporations.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I
think
completely
I could
disagree
agree
with
with
that
them on that. But if you want to strike at the root cause of money in politics, it's not regulations. It's not publicly financing campaigns, because next thing you know, we're all going to be on the hook for $1 billion presidential campaign. I don't want that. The real solution is to take power away from government so they do not have the power to give special favors to the corporations who will then give them money to ensure they're the ones who get the special favors. You take the power away from government to do that, then
the
that
money's
solves the problem.
meaningless.
Because, the corporations are going to say, well, why are we going to give money? Because
We don't get
we don't
anything
get
out of
anything in return. There's no return on investment, which is how it should be.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree with you. And I do find it funny that what he's trying to do is to build a network of people across the country. But the money in politics is only used to buy influence, to buy votes via commercials, via propaganda, via signs, that kind of thing. Radio commercials, TV commercials, all of it's used to influence the vote. If you made up a force that was big enough, why don't you just have those people go out and have them vote for the right people? Like, I never figure that part of it out. Like, I know you're not going to get anything done to the Democrat Party or to the Republican Party. And in that, both of us would agree. All of us would agree, and even Unger would agree with that. But your solution isn't to actually replace that. It's to get enough money, because he wants people to donate $10 a month. And that with if he said that with so many people that were donating, he'd be able to have like $10 million, and then he'd be able to do something, with that money to be able to combat what was going on. But I'm almost like you're going to run into the same problem again, though, because if you think money is the root of the whole problem, then how is giving you a bunch of money going to solve the problem? So you're benevolent, and the rest of them aren't going to be able to. Like, money will,
Right.
Yeah, that kind of thing could screw you up. So you're not actually solving the problem.
No.
You're looking for a seat at the table. That's what you're looking
Right.
for. Which I got no. In an
And you'll
essence-
eventually be corrupted with that.
Well, what will happen is your organization will end up being corrupted with
Right.
that, because you're setting something up that's top down.
Yeah, money in politics is a symptom.
Yes.
It's not a cause.
Yes.
The cause is too much power in government.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. Which is why. But one of the other things they want to do is they want to do an Article 5 convention.
Yeah, no.
And this is where
Just no.
And again, I actually want to give him a call because I want to bring him on the air because I want to debate this issue with him, because you can't. And again, I'm no constitutional expert by any stretch of the imagination, but for my
We know.
But from my understanding of all of this, is that you can't go in there with one set of things that you want to do.
No.
If you call,
No. You're confusing a constitutional convention with an Article 5 convention. In an Article 5 convention, you can only vote on what is being proposed for what the convention is called for. You can't open up anything else except for the proposal that called the Article 5 convention. Here's the problem with an Article 5 convention. The people who would go to it are the people that are currently in the state governments.
Right.
So you're not fixing anything because it's the same. You're just trading the corrupt people in D.C. for the corrupt people in every state capital.
Yeah.
And what you'll get is what we've gotten in the past with, campaign finance reform, which we've seen over and over because the people keep demanding it. And what ends up happening is they just write in the loopholes, and by the time they've written the change, they already know exactly how they're going to get around the law. And today they do it with PACs and super PACs. Yeah. And that's really what it boils down to. And they will just make a couple more changes and write in the loopholes so that they can continue to do it. You're not solving the root cause of the problem. You're treating a symptom.
And it's damn near impossible to get rid of it once you have it. So once it's in there, then, now it's there. It's a constitutional amendment, and to repeal that it's not going to happen. So you're stuck with this thing forever. And I find it funny that you have both extremes of both sides calling for the same thing. Because now you have other, radio hosts and supposed to be, constitutional lawyers calling for an Article 5 convention on the right, and also on the left, people like the Young Turks who are calling for an Article 5 convention. And the problem is if this becomes more popular and more mainstream, you're going to have both of those groups making their proposals. And because both sides are calling for it, what's going to happen is you're going to have to look at all of that. So whatever the left proposal is and whatever the right proposal is, all of that is going to be open up if all the states were to say, yes, let's do it.
Yeah, unless the purpose of this was specifically to repeal the 16th and 17th, I don't want any part of it.
Well, that's the thing is this. When it comes to the problems, you have a lot of agreement on what the problems are. Now, the root cause and the solution, that's where everybody kind of goes in, I wouldn't say all different directions, but there's definitely differences in what people are trying to do. Yeah. And I think it comes down to two things. One, guys like the Young Turks like to blame capitalism for it. Like, they like to put the bad guy as capitalism and the bad guy as money.
That's why they're blaming the money. That's why they're blaming the corporation.
Now, it has more to do with the amount of money that the government is spending and control than it has to do with anything else. Though.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. Money's a problem, which is why we want the government to have as little of it to spend as possible. Because their spending of the money, you're putting people up in office that, and again, you listen to the voicemail. It's brazen. There's no getting around it. That's what they're going to do. That woman made that phone call because she's entitled to it. And if you think she's the only one that's doing that stuff, and if you think it's only Democrats or only Republicans, you're crazy.
She's just the only one dumb enough to leave a voicemail message.
Like, do you know who's not doing it? It was guys like Kucinich. And it's guys like Paul, like Ron Paul. Those were the two guys that were in Congress that you pretty much would guarantee that the lobbyists aren't going anywhere near either one of their offices because they weren't for sale. Everybody else up there, almost everybody else up there, is for sale. And there's very few exceptions.
Same is true on your state level, too.
And the same is true. Again, look, think of...
Probably your county level as well.
Think of politics like baseball. You got the farm team down in the county. You got, AAA ball up at State House. You got the major leagues up in Washington, D.C. Do you think that the way that they train these politicians at the county level, somehow when they get to Tallahassee they get corrupted, or somehow when they get to Washington they get corrupted and all of a sudden they were honest? No. It started from the beginning. And if you're at the county level and they know that you're not for sale, well, you ain't going to get the support needed to make it to the State House.
Not if you're a Democrat or Republican.
Not either one of them. Not either one of them. Because the party is not going to allow that to happen.
Because the party is made up of leaders, the establishment types who are playing ball, and they want others to be on their team.
Well, look at here in Florida, we have Jim Greer who's going to jail. And we've talked about the Greer situation before.
Sure.
You
and for those of you who don't know, former chairman of the Republican Party of Florida.
Right. And this was back when Charlie Crist was in office, and it's funny to see what he's saying now, because now he's in jail,
right.
And they're asking about other scandals and other money changing hands, and now he is completely blaming Charlie Crist for everything.
Yeah, even from and that's the amazing, and we wrote an article that talking about
1787network.com. Adrian Wiley wrote an article.
Did I write the article?
I don't know.
One of us did. I don't remember. Yeah, it was. I'm sure it was collaborative. But we wrote an article about him falling on his sword for the Republican Party, and he did. He shut up. He didn't drop dime on anyone else, and he's in jail because of it. And at the time, he was protecting, Charlie Crist, Marco Rubio, Will Weatherford, a whole bunch of Rick Scott, all these guys, because they were all, in on the corruption, in on the graft, getting kickbacks, getting pocket money. In the case of Marco Rubio, getting his kitchen remodeled, on the Republican Party dime.
We went through all that stuff last week, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
That's a part of it.
Oh, a ton of it, yeah. But now this guy is such a party player that he's sitting in jail, and the only person at this point he's willing to roll over on is Charlie Crist, who's a bad guy, but he's just one of many bad guys. The reason is because Charlie Crist is now switched to the Democrat Party and is running for governor.
And
it's amazing.
His main thing is, well, I was very, very devoted to Charlie Crist, so anything I did was on his orders.
Yeah, it's nobody taking responsibility for their own actions. Greer's like,
right.
Well, it was Crist made me do it. Really? That guy made you do it? The guy's like $1.50 soaking wet with rocks in his pocket. All right? He had a tan all day long and gray hair. And Greer was a bigger guy. Come on, guy. Can you be honest here? You did it yourself because you like doing it.
Yeah, and I don't think he was concerned about actual physical threats that
might have been concerned about maybe
Charlie Crist was going to beat him up.
Well, he might have been concerned about maybe some of the grease off of Charlie's tan hitting him when he hugged him or something.
That's a good point. I
don't know. It could.
You'll never get those orange stains out of your white shirt.
Maybe Jim Greer was doing it because he had such a high dry cleaning bill.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was a high dry cleaning bill.
The bottom line is,
those suits are expensive.
I believe that before I believe the other.
If it was Marco Rubio who had switched to the Democrat Party, Jim Greer would be saying, "I was just following Marco Rubio's orders."
Very dedicated to Marco Rubio. Yeah. Well, and that's what happened when we talk about, but this is going on. I mean, we know a lot about what's going on in Florida. All these guys in Florida are taking consulting jobs where they do absolutely nothing but make thousands of dollars for a company that conveniently wins some kind of contract from the government that they're voting on, and they just happen to be the consultant. But
yeah, no conflict of interest there. No, of course not.
And we have all of this corruption going on in the state government. Now you have both sides of the fence, the extreme left, the extreme right, saying, let's call an Article 5 convention. You know who's going there? These corrupt guys that you don't like now.
Yeah. And if you thought they were getting lobbying money before, you wait until then.
Yeah, they're going to take the opportunity to make it easier for them to accept consulting jobs from companies that they're approving the government contracts on, or for companies who are getting some preferential treatment. And they're going to make sure that their sons, daughters, nieces, nephew, wives are all in some subsidiary relationships so that they're getting a nice 6-figure income with no job description and maybe a company car.
And if they do get caught, And if they do get caught,
They blame whoever switched to the Democratic Party.
Well, no, not just that though. Or they claim mental distress and collect $8,500 a month from the government.
Oh yeah, right.
They're
Yeah.
Like
still-
Jesse Jackson Jr.
They're still screwing you over. They're still screwing you over. Even after that, even after we catch you, you were buying gold watches with your campaign, with your donors' money,
Right.
and then you get caught, and you have the testicular fortitude to actually claim some kind of mental problem.
You're
so
sad.
you can get money from the government to
Go
the
on
tune
disability.
of to the tune of $8,500 a month, and you still get your congressional pension, and you still get it. You're going to tell me that? Here's the thing. There is nobody in Washington, D.C. that's a senator or a congressman with the exception of Amash. There's one exception. Justin Amash. The only one I'll give you is Amash. And even then, it's one of those things where, look, you got it. Just like I clean my car. You got to take everybody out. You got to take them all out. There's not anybody that's worthy of saving because you have to get rid of all of them. Every politician in Washington, D.C. and in Tallahassee has to go. They have to not be reelected. And the honest one should understand why. Go ahead.
Well, don't you? And you always say this is, you get rid of everyone and leave one to tell the tale. Couldn't you just leave Amash to tell the tale?
I'd leave Amash to tell the tale. That's true. I would leave Amash to tell the tale.
I'm picturing Justin Amash sitting around a campfire saying, "It was a dark evening in Washington."
All of a sudden, Alex Snicker with a pitchfork and a million people behind him came up and asked everybody politely to resign and leave. And surprisingly enough, they all did it.
They just left.
Now I think that the ability to be able to burn the entire place down was part of it, even though they didn't specifically threaten that. They did not, violate the NAP.
Yeah, and I actually like the buildings in D.C. I want to leave the buildings.
Yeah.
I just want all the people
them to
out
be
of it.
empty.
Yeah, right.
And again, we go around, we talk to people sometimes, and we talk to party people that know guys like Bill Arakis, who's the ones that are here, and they always have nice things to say about Bill Arakis. But this guy is part of the problem. The thing that Bill Arakis is good at is constituent services for individuals. Like if you have a problem with government and you're a veteran, you bring it to him, he can actually take care of these things for you.
Right.
And that's where they've gotten their focus at. Now, what that equates to is votes.
Right.
But it also means, well, he's doing a good job, and if everything's going to be corrupt up there anyway, I might as well have that guy doing a good job for me. Bill Young has a staff of people that do the same thing. It ain't
Right.
Bill doing it, though, because, the guy's probably doesn't even know his name.
He's
But-
still drooling on the little dribble thing. On
Yeah, probably.
It's nap time for Bill right now.
Yeah.
He can't hear this.
But what you see, though, is just people will vote for those individuals like Bill Arakis because of the constituent services, instead of looking to see if they're actually following the Constitution. Like there's a Barry Goldwater quote, and I forget the quote. It's a phenomenal quote. But the Goldwater quote basically said is that, my job up here is to support and defend liberty, and in that I'm doing the best I can. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to keep a government. I'm not trying to make a new program. I'm trying to eliminate the bad ones that do violence against the Constitution. It's a great Goldwater quote, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think you did it justice there.
No, I didn't do it any justice at all there. But let's take a break. Again, you're listening to Liberty Underground on Tan Talk 1340. This is the public broadcast on 1340 Stick, which is a beautiful thing. We'll be back. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Greetings from Vitaline Incorporated, a Florida corporation based in Clearwater, Florida. This year, Vitaline Incorporated celebrates 26 years serving the medical community with associates around the state. How do they do it? Simply put, Vitaline Incorporated meets their medical needs by providing high-tech instrumentation and respiratory care with focused accessories to hospitals, long-term care facilities, durable medical equipment dealers, and physicians' practices. Our products are on display at VitalineInc.com. Please visit us on the web for details on the products and services we offer. Vitaline Inc. is a proud sponsor of the Liberty Underground Radio Show.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with camera. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
New technology is being unveiled by the 1787 Radio Network. The Liberty Underground show is offering you, our sponsors, special rates on subliminal advertising.
You will buy advertising from us.
Studies show that subliminal advertising is 8,412% more effective than standard radio ads.
You will write us a check today.
Call 1-800-575-1787 today.
Call it now, right now.
For more information on your sponsorship opportunities, that's 1-800-575-1787 to get your ad running today.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
You know the system is broken and you hear over and over again about the issues. Are you tired of attending monthly meetings, hearing about the problems, but never hearing about the solutions? Do you want to know how to be effective as an activist? The Neighborhood Project is a step-by-step plan on how you can restore the Republic, starting in your own community. This book was written to show you as an individual how to obtain and keep real political power in your own neighborhood and how this method is vital to restoring honest leadership at every level of government. This book is not reinventing the wheel. It is to show you how to pick up the wheel and use it. Go to 1787network.com and click on the Neighborhood Project logo to pre-order the book before our February 8th release. All pre-orders also include the Neighborhood Project workbook for free. The Neighborhood Project, your way to restore the Republic. Welcome back to Liberty Underground on Can Talk 1340 and streaming live on Ustream.com. Go to 1787 Network. You can actually find all the information that you need on the Liberty Underground show. This is a 3-hour show. You're hearing it from 10 to 11 live on Can Talk 1340, and we're glad to be back. I just got to tell you, though, that woman, I mean, you know, you hear congressmen and women say the darndest things, like, you know, the one guy that was like, you know, we don't want to put all the troops on one side of Guam you know, because it might capsize.
Yeah.
Like that guy's
Yeah.
always
That
my
was
fave.
awesome.
Like he was dead serious about that crap. He wasn't like on an interview or he said it the wrong way. That dude was sitting in Congress saying that stuff. So you know he was serious about that. And that's just the kind of class of people that we get going up to Washington, D.C. They're dummies.
Yeah, some are actually dumber than a box of rocks.
Oh, a lot of them are. I think a lot of them you could actually.
Others
like if you
are-
gave them an IQ test, they'd be, you know, Forrest Gump would be higher. Than
There's plenty of evil geniuses there too, though.
No, there are. Well, and the one thing I think you are starting to see is a lot of the people that were the kingmakers in the back end are now starting to go forward. Rick Scott's an example of this. Wilton Simpson's an example of this. So you got some guys who were involved in politics for decades, paying for all these scumbags, are like, I'm not even getting my money's worth anymore, so I'm just going to go up and do it myself.
Well, and they're still paying the rest of them.
Yeah.
You know, but now they're just more, you know, they're taking a more hands-on approach to growing their business.
Well, I mean, if you're paying that kind of money, you might want to get a return on your investment, I guess, which is the bad part. But it's one of those things where it's so understanding why you need another political party to challenge these guys and why fixing them won't work. And we saw this with the Republican Party going on up there. But even more importantly than that, there are times where there are people that we disagree with that end up trying to do the right thing, and we have this in Elizabeth Warren. Now, in case you don't know, what happened is that the banks, for all of their fraud, all of their illegal activities, were kind of caught, and they got to settle with the Justice Department. Now, it was to the tune of, billions of dollars that they had to settle for. But you got to remember this. Look, if you stole $100,000 and I said, well, we caught you stealing $100,000, we're not going to do any jail time. You're not going to go to jail. But you got to pay us back $10,000. You still walked away with $90,000 that wasn't your money.
Right.
Now, $10,000 might seem like a hefty penalty to pay if that's the only part of the story that they told you. And say, guy stole money and had to pay back $10,000. Now, you would think just because you think that, well, they wouldn't do anything this bad, that, well, they must have paid back all the money that he stole. Well, that's what the banks did. The banks stole the money. They stole the money. And what did the government do in response to that? They bailed them out and then said, and you're going to have to pay a fine of, what was the fine? Can you scroll down just a little bit there? $25 billion. Yeah. It was $25 billion that they had to pay in fines. But they really didn't, it wasn't.
Well, but they got bailed out, too. So the government gave them money, but also fined them.
Yeah. So they stole the money. The government gave them more money and then fined them. And even the fine wasn't even as much as the money that they gave them to begin with.
And, well, not even close. If you put together the amount from TARP and the bailouts,
right,
it's well over $1 trillion.
Right. So we're going to give you $1 trillion, but shame on you for defrauding those people. You give us back $25 billion of that.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to give me $1 trillion and I pay back $25 billion.
So
that's like, wait a second. Let's knock a whole bunch of zeros off.
I think it's like 5%.
Yeah, you give me $1,000 and I'll pay a $25 penalty for that $1,000, and I get to keep $975 of it.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
no, deal.
Elizabeth Warren wrote a letter to the Justice Department, basically calling the mortgage, calling their strategy a timid enforcement strategy, saying that they settled on the cheap when it came to this, and that she wants them to relook at this, and they're not going to relook at it. I mean, and I think actually Elizabeth Warren knew this and did this as a. I think she believes this, but I do think it's also a political tool that she's doing to secure her base. Because I don't think the banks are giving her any money, though. Like, I don't think Warren's in on it. I think that she's, at least in that aspect, I don't think that she's necessarily one of those people.
You may actually be naive on that.
Maybe.
They may have a handful of people that are controlled opposition that are like, well, there's a large segment of the population out there that are just, ready to grab their torches and pitchforks. And we have to have a few people up here saying, oh, well, we've got to do something about that. They didn't pay enough. So it could very well be the fact that she is controlled opposition, but we don't know that.
No, we don't. Well, I do know this, though, is that she claimed to be an American Indian, and she's not.
Right.
She's a liar.
Right.
In that aspect, she's a liar. She was using it to enhance her story. But in this letter, she's right in saying that they let him off. They let him off too easy. I think that what she fails to understand is that those are the bankers that own all of the people up there, and that maybe she's in on it and she is controlled opposition. I don't know that to be the case.
Well, the highest contributor on both sides of the aisle is J.P. Morgan.
Yeah.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, Knobs, what's your take?
Well, it's ridiculous how they are supposedly holding the banks accountable, and what's even worse is that this is nothing compared to the LIBOR scandal, and they don't even talk about
Right.
that. And the pittance of fines that they had to pay for that is just ridiculous. And all of these things just show who really owns us and who really runs the show.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even take into account the potentially quadrillion-dollar
Right.
derivatives bubble out there. I mean, when you get into these numbers of what's really going on between the federal government and all the governments of the world and all the global banking systems, it's pure insanity. When you look at it from that perspective, you have to say there's no way that this can be sustainable. There's no way that this cannot collapse at some point.
Well, and this is a new story that just came out. The Federal Reserve has now set a new record. And whenever you hear Federal Reserve, a new record, everyone out there who's listening to us should go, oh, no, what is it? And this is one of those cases. The Federal Reserve now is carrying $2 trillion in U.S. debt. And this is a record. The Federal Reserve has never carried this much of U.S. debt ever before.
That's quantitative easing.
Right.
That is
And
the
that is
direct
exactly
result
what it
of
is.
quantitative easing.
And it's not sustainable. You can't, I mean, that's like buying, I mean, I don't even know how you can, having the Federal Reserve own our debt is like you trying to just own your own debt. You can't.
It's absolutely not like that at all.
Yeah. You're right.
Because the Federal Reserve is not us.
Right. But they're doing it with
like,
our money.
Yeah, it's more like borrowing money from yourself and paying someone else interest. That's more what it's like.
Well, yeah, and it definitely is like that. But the money supply, because when they hold our debt, what they mean by holding our debt is they're just printing more money.
Yeah, it gets so convoluted when you talk about the Federal Reserve.
Because you're trying to put it in terms that everyone can understand.
Even printing it, they're just creating it in a computer account and transferring it from one column to another. And then in the meantime, they're creating 10 times that amount in new loans. And then they're charging the federal government, us, the taxpayer, interest for that money that they created, and then said, well, you have to borrow that money from us, but we're the ones creating the money to begin with on your authority. You can't even really explain it well.
I mean, it's explain it in a way that's...
you can't break it down to the lowest common denominator because it's insanity.
No. I disagree with you. You actually can break this down to the common denominator. Here's what it is. Commenting on the latest numbers, Reasons, Ed Krowitzki wrote, since the financial crisis of 2008, the Federal Reserve, a private organization. Now, he didn't say private organization. I'm saying that, though. But I want you to remember, the Federal Reserve is a private organization.
Yeah.
So this is what they've done. They've filled its balance sheet with private assets and public debt through instruments like quantitative easing, and the totals are adding up. Now, they filled its balance sheet with private assets and public debt.
Right, and that's the dirty little secret.
Right.
Is they're using this money that they're creating, they're loaning it out at interest, both to individuals in the federal government, and they're using it to acquire real assets. And that's the really scary part. So effectively, everything that the Federal Reserve is doing and everything that the Treasury is doing, the end result is a transfer of real assets, real property, tangible things into the global banking system and out of the hands of individuals.
Now, the next part, this is where they're going to use the fear on you. Taking into account all debts, the U.S. is said to be in the hole to the amount of $16.9 trillion. University of California, San Diego economist Professor James Hamilton has laid out other claims as of late, though going on record recently to estimate the real debt owed by the U.S. is closer to a staggering $70 trillion. The biggest off-balance sheet liabilities come from recognition of the financial stress that will come in the form of an aging population and rising medical expenditures, Hamilton told Fox News, adding, it is worth noting that there are many historical episodes in which off-balance sheet liabilities ended up having quite significant on-balance sheet implications. The next thing they're going to use on you is going to be the old people.
Yes.
It's going to be Medicare. It's going to be Medicaid. It's going to be Social Security. That's the next thing. This is how they cemented their involvement in this, because what they did was they took a bunch of money from people going, when you were going, when you were working, you're taking FICA, the SICA, Social Security, all this stuff. They're taking all of that money away from you. But they're giving you the mentality of, but we'll give it back to you when you need it. And so we're going to go ahead and save all this money together. We're going to put it in a lockbox, and we're going to make sure that you're well taken care of later on. But now that it's going to come to fruition on that part, they're going to say, well, we got to keep doing this, or you're not going to be able to, grandma's going to die. Social Security's not going to be around. We're going to go broke. And then they're using the population that votes the most, because on average, old people vote more than young people vote on a higher percentage. And they're threatening to take away the money that they put into the system that they're trying to get back now away from them if they don't continue these processes.
But it's all a smokescreen. And you're right, though. They're using, kill grandma.
Right.
In effect, what they're doing is they're killing the currency to distribute wealth. Well, and it's not distributing wealth, to the poor. It's not the Robin Hood scenario. It's taking it from the poor, the middle class, the rich, and distributing it to the uber rich.
Well, and they're saying because of the rising cost of healthcare and so many of the older generation that are going to be needing this healthcare, but it's them that's putting in the regulations that's making the rise in the cost of healthcare.
Oh yeah. Yeah. How many times have we talked about the root cause of the skyrocketing cost of healthcare? It's all government. It's government's involvement. And, I sound like a broken record on this, but it's so true. Before we had government involvement in healthcare, everyone could afford healthcare. And
there are people that died, but that's just it's going to happen no matter what.
For the indigent, there was private charity.
Yeah, but there's no utopia though. That's the other thing. I want to make sure.
But there's never going to be, no matter how much government you add in.
But without government, we were so better off as far as healthcare than we are today.
Yeah, but that's why it's so disingenuous though when these guys when guys like Obama come up there and bring out like old people or something like that. They're like, well, I just talked to Macy Sue, and because of my new program, Macy Sue is going to be able to get health care. Hey, why don't you bring up the 15,000 UPS employees' wives who just got their coverage dropped because of your damn regulations? Or the company here in Florida, this Forever 21 company that moved all of their employees to part-time because they won't be able to stay open if they didn't meet their regulations.
UPS was just forced to raise their rates as well this past week.
Right.
And they're not doing it because they're a greedy corporation. They're doing it because all of a sudden they see all these huge costs associated with Obamacare on the horizon, and they've got to offset it somehow. They don't want to raise their prices because they know it's going to hurt them competitively. They're going to drive people to the United States Postal Service, which is going to absorb the losses anyway.
Right.
Well, FedEx is going to have to raise their prices too.
But they might lose employees to FedEx, though.
Well, yeah.
Well, FedEx is eventually going to have to compensate for it too.
Well, maybe.
That's the thing. Everybody is going to have to compensate
at some
for this.
point.
I wanted to bring up something else you said, though. Okay, go ahead.
No, and I worked for a company that only had 9 employees. But because of the way the company was structured, they wanted to provide healthcare for all 9 employees. When I started at that company, it was the total healthcare for the entire company cost $75,000. And the company absorbed all of it, 100% of the cost of the healthcare, because it was $75,000. By the time I left 3 years later, the price was $163,000 for those same 9 employees.
Right.
And the only thing that changed was the healthcare laws.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You brought something else up, and we're going to end on this note here. You talked about Robin Hood. and I think it's a great scenario because a lot of people use Robin Hood as a scenario about this. You got to remember what Robin Hood was doing, though. They always go, Robin Hood, he was stealing from the rich to give to the poor. Okay, no, he wasn't. What Robin Hood was doing is he was taking the tax money that the king
From the king
and giving it back to the people.
Right.
So that's what he was doing. He was look, Robin Hood, I would argue, was the ultimate libertarian.
Except he violated the NAP.
He was violating
the NAP.
No, hold on, though. Are you really violating the NAP when you're going back to get
I
the
would
money
say
that was stolen to begin with?
defensatory.
Yeah.
So maybe
Is that a word?
It is now.
It is
Okay.
now.
Retaliatory.
Retaliatory word.
There you go.
He that's what Robin Hood was doing. That story gets twisted.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it does.
I think by design. I actually think by design.
Well, you have to understand, at the time period, the only rich were actually the king and the
monarchy,
nobles.
yeah.
The people that made
So-
laws ruling
Exactly.
over their people.
The rich were the government.
It was the ruling class.
But it should be more accurately stated that Robin Hood stole from the government to return it to the people who it was originally confiscated from.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. That's a more accurate representation.
And he wasn't stealing their money. He was taking back what they had stolen from other people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it's good that you brought that reference up because I always like to make sure that we bring those kinds of references
Yeah.
and get the accurate presentation of what they really mean. Because too many times you hear these stories and you don't know the how they originated.
If Robin Hood was alive today, he'd be taking out IRS trucks.
Look, if Robin Hood was alive,
Exactly.
if
Yeah.
Robin Hood was alive today, he'd be dead because
He'd
got
be in
drone
Gitmo.
strike.
Yeah, right.
He'd be drone striked. He'd be waterboarded. Little John.
We don't know
would
where
be,
Robin Hood went.
Little John would be in some other foreign country under rendition.
Indefinitely detained under
the
NDAA.
Merry
That was
Men
a horrible car crash. I don't know what happened.
Right.
The Merry Men would be hunted down by the Southern Poverty Law Center. It'd be
They would definitely be a hate group.
they definitely would
Yeah.
be considered a hate group.
They would somehow be racist.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Then there'd be a Ruby Ridge or a Sherwood Forest Ridge that would happen.
They would have ties to Al Qaeda somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. They'd have ties to Al Qaeda, and they would all be pedophiles.
Yeah, right. Right.
Al Qaeda pedophiles is what they would be.
Actually, I think they'd probably just blanket them as a bunch of lone wolf sovereign citizens.
Oh, I have a good
Oh.
story
I think
about sovereign
I think they'd go
citizens, too.
sovereign citizen.
Oh,
on
that's a good point. Man, damn, that is a good point.
Yeah.
That is a good
well,
point.
because all those sovereigns are definitely terrorists.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you're watching this, and then people like Elizabeth Warren, like we kind of went to the beginning of the article, was to try to hammer these banks out. The real solution was happening in 2008, though, with them going under. That's how you get rid of this stuff. Like these bad corporations that do bad things, you have to allow the free market to make the decision to put these guys out of business. That's what has to happen. We need more of that. So don't do business with the people that you want, that you think are doing bad things, and do business with people that are doing good things.
Yeah.
All right, hey, hour number 2 is over. If you're listening to us on the Tan Talk Radio Network, we've still got another hour to go. We're live on Ustream. Visit 1787network.com, but you're listening to the Liberty Underground Show on the 1787 Radio Network. Terrestrial listeners, we'll catch you next week. Everyone else, we'll see you on Ustream. Have a good one.
Keep that diesel trucking. Just put that hammer down and give it hell. Eastbound and down, load it up and truck it. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done? We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound up, watch our bandit run.
Hi, this is Gary Johnston, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Greetings from Vitaline Incorporated, a Florida corporation based in Clearwater, Florida. This year, Vitaline Incorporated celebrates 26 years serving the medical community with associates around the state. How do they do it? Simply put, Vitaline Incorporated meets their medical needs by providing high-tech instrumentation and respiratory care with focused accessories to hospitals, long-term care facilities, durable medical equipment dealers, and physicians' practices. Our products are on display at VitalineInc.com. Please visit us on the web for details on the products and services we offer. Vitaline Inc. is a proud sponsor of the Liberty Underground Radio Show.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
New technology is being unveiled by the 1787 Radio Network. The Liberty Underground show is offering you, our sponsors, special rates on subliminal advertising.
You will buy advertising from us.
Studies show that subliminal advertising is 8,412% more effective than standard radio ads.
You will write us a check today.
Call 1-800-575-1787 today.
Call it now, right now.
For more information on your sponsorship opportunities, that's 1-800-575-1787 to get your ad running today.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
You know the system is broken and you hear over and over again about the issues. Are you tired of attending monthly meetings, hearing about the problems, but never hearing about the solutions? Do you want to know how to be effective as an activist? The Neighborhood Project is a step-by-step plan on how you can restore the Republic, starting in your own community. This book was written to show you as an individual how to obtain and keep real political power in your own neighborhood and how this method is vital to restoring honest leadership at every level of government. This book is not reinventing the wheel. It is to show you how to pick up the wheel and use it. Go to 1787network.com and click on the Neighborhood Project logo to pre-order the book before our February 8th release. All pre-orders also include the Neighborhood Project workbook for free. The Neighborhood Project, your way to restore the Republic. And we're back. You're listening to Liberty Underground Show. We're back on Ustream. Well, we never left Ustream, but we're not on Tan Talk 1340 anymore, but that's okay. We're only on for an hour, so no problem at all. I'm just glad to be back on for an hour. That's kind of fun.
We're no longer subject to FCC guidelines at this point.
Yes.
Not that we ever violate that.
We
you know,
really don't.
It's funny because we talked about that at length. How, it's going to be so cool when we're just internet all day. We can say whatever we want. And then we didn't.
Now, you know why? I'll tell you why. Because I'm not cursing on here as much for the FCC violations as I am for... There are kids that listen to this show.
Right.
And that if you started cursing all the time, I think that the parents wouldn't want the kids to listen to the show anymore.
Well, you know...
Well, and our kids listen to, like, when I'm cutting up the videos and stuff, you know, Mikey's in here, my kids are in here sometimes and stuff. So, you know, even our own kids are listening to the show.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really don't curse a lot in general.
I do.
Yeah,
Well, you know what's funny is you are a bad influence on me because when I'm around you, I curse a lot more than I normally do. You know, I'm still getting out of the phase of, it's totally your fault. Yeah, you're a bad influence.
I got you.
You know, you're the kid my parents warned me about.
Yeah, there's a little truth to that.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's
like, you almost took offense until he said it that way. And then
Yeah,
you're
like, got a point there.
You're hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah. You know that Alex guy? He's just a radical. A real radical, by the way. Not the fake radicals. But we're not going to get into
Not
that.
the book club radicals?
Yeah, not the book club.
The
I read the
Facebook
most books.
commandos.
Faction 1 radicals?
Yeah. But at any rate.
They still all have driver's license, I bet.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We didn't get to that on the... you know, I got to say, and quite frankly, Knobs, I'm gonna make that nickname stick.
He's working on it.
It's a bit of a We didn't get to that while we were, and if you're just joining us back on Ustream, we just did the middle hour of the show broadcasting over terrestrial radio on the stations of the Tan Talk Network, and man, I got to tell you, you know, I'm not a professional broadcast engineer.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Oh, cut me some slack. I've done a fine job. So I'm kind of, you know, this is OJT big time. I'm learning as I go. But I have to say that was rather stressful having to hit marks to the second.
Yeah.
You know, because when we're on the internet, we're not feeding to anyone. We're not going up to the network or satellite or anything like
We have
that.
no station ID.
Yeah, we have no station ID. We got no rules, basically. So we're just doing it the way we want to. But when you start broadcasting out to terrestrial stations, it becomes a whole different animal completely, and you got to hit marks perfectly. And I got to say that was a little stressful. But I am pleased that I won't have to deal with that anymore, and you will.
Well, thank you for putting it all on my shoulders. I appreciate that.
You know, on the first break, we all go out. We go out, and you guys smoke. I don't, because I was going to say we all have a cigarette, but I don't actually. But the first thing Alex says to Greg is he? What's he doing back there? Because we have no idea.
Yeah, what's going on back there? What are you doing? Everything's going to the dogs.
Pay no attention to the man behind the monitors.
Everything's going to the dogs. But speaking of dogs.
Oh, we got a dog story, huh?
Yes.
Are the police here? Did they kill one?
No, the police did not kill one.
Don't shoot my dog, mister.
Even though I will say that I'm going to say something that the SPCA would not be happy with saying. But
oh, I know where we're going.
You're going.
What happens when a city goes belly up, like Detroit is going belly up, is that there's a lot of other kinds of problems that are part of this. And part of the problem is Detroit is going to the dogs. Bloomberg reports that as many as 50,000 canines prowl through the Motor City's darkened roads and condemned houses, causing serious problems for the few people that remain.
I think there's more dogs than people.
For the few people that remain. That line alone is pretty scary.
50,000 dogs and a few people.
Yeah. This is what this woman goes. She says, it was almost post-apocalyptic, said Amanda Arrington of the Humane Society, who visited the city last October. There are no businesses, nothing except people and houses and dogs running around. Animal control personnel are hamstrung by the city's shoestring budget, and overcrowded shelters are forced to euthanize more than 70% of the dogs that are brought in. As dog owners abandon Detroit, many leave their canine companions to fend for themselves. The animals often form packs around a female in heat and then go looking for trouble. Actually, that's
kind of like humans, yeah.
Kind of like humans.
So they're like
that actually is like your story or early, your Denny story.
Detroit is completely revitalized to their original state of gangs. They're
Yeah.
just canines.
They're just dogs. That's all. So when you see a city like Detroit, which was run by Democrats for like 50 years, so there's no way that you can blame anything else other than Democrat policies. Again, somebody was actually trying to blame Republicans and libertarians. Because libertarians have been in charge of anything going on in Detroit for the past 50 years. They tried to blame libertarian. This is your libertarian utopia. So you're saying that our libertarian utopia is after you wreck a city and then you can't do anything anymore in there? That the product of that is what libertarianism would bring? I don't think so.
We've actually got a live report right now from Detroit. I want to bring that up now live.
As you knows, I be first tracker and times past count I done the tell. But it weren't me that tumbled Walker. It was Savannah. So it only right she take the tell.
Look, man, that would be way funnier.
This ain't one body's story.
I know where it's from.
It's the story of
it's
us
from
all.
Mad Max.
We got it
Yeah.
mouth to mouth.
It's like
So
Beyond
you gotta
Thunderdome or
listen
something
it,
like
remember,
that.
Yeah, it's the few remaining people in Detroit telling the story of the long ago.
looking behind us now. Across the
When
ground
great
to
buildings
find
grew to the
down
sky.
long
I never go on
And the
vacation.
magic flying machines flew overhead before the dogs came.
Before the motorized vehicles were coming off the Yosemite Eye.
full of pain.
Apocalypse.
Are you still playing it? You're still going?
I'm digging it. I'm enjoying it. Go ahead. You can talk over it. I'm going to just let it roll.
We're going to go ahead and just why don't you go ahead and cut that off now?
Yeah, I'm in charge of the board here. I'll listen to what I want.
Damn it!
Chasing a wall.
I didn't read the story, but I glance over at the computer screen because I have the story
gathers
pulled up,
up
and the
again,
only line I
takes
see
to
is
the air,
the dogs were having a pool party.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, one police officer told a story about a pack of 20 pooches found in the flooded basement of an abandoned home. The dogs were having a pool party, he said. He went in and fished them out. Which is funny that you're out fishing out dogs. I mean, look, I'm going to Detroit.
What kind of bait do you use to fish
never
a
go on
dog?
I never go on vacation. I am going to go on vacation, and I'm going to Detroit because I want to see this firsthand.
Well, actually, have you heard the story about the developer that wants to buy a huge chunk of Detroit and turn it into a theme park called Zombieland? Because it
Shut
is.
up!
Put it in your search engine, Detroit Zombieland. You'll see the story. He wants to just because it's already ready because the city is so blown out and trashed that he could just buy a huge swath of land, close it off, and turn it into a zombie themed theme park. And just get people in makeup like zombies walking around, and that's all you really got to do.
And you can really get the people from Detroit jobs working at Zombieland.
Absolutely.
This is a great idea.
I just found another line. I'm sorry. This is just too funny. One mail carrier recalled using clouds of pepper spray to disperse swarms of small but savage hounds. He says, it's like Chihuahuaville.
Wait a second.
Chihuahuaville.
Hang on. They're still delivering mail in Detroit? It must be like that Kevin Costner movie, The Postman.
Oh, I hate to laugh.
I do too. I actually, we're laughing at this, but I'm disgusted,
Hold
and
on.
it's horrifying.
There's two parts to me. One does hate it. I do hate laughing about it. But the other part is this, and some people might get offended when I say this. You deserve it. You voted for these people.
You voted for these people.
Or you didn't vote.
Right.
You voted for this. You deserve what you got coming to you.
You either, voted for this or you didn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah.
And really, this is the end result of the big government, the transfer wealth mindset, the entitlement mindset. This is the inevitable outcome. And unless we do something radical to change it in the rest of the country, Detroit is foreshadowing of what's to come in places like Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Miami. It's coming here. It's coming everywhere. And not just everywhere across the U.S., everywhere across the globe. Because these ideals have been so now entrenched in the minds of everyone that government is there to provide for your every need and that somebody owes me. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to provide for myself. Somebody owes me. And what that happens, and then we elect politicians who are on the take and are willing to dole out favors to everyone, pretty soon there's nothing left.
Right.
There's nothing left to plunder, and you have Detroit.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is that people and I think maybe some people might disagree with this, but people inherently are good people.
Mhm.
They're
Right.
charitable people.
Right.
They want to help their fellow man. And the government and the politicians that use that, they pull on the heartstrings of people like
Right.
that.
Right.
And they'll say, well, we're doing this for the kids, or we're doing this for the elderly, or we're doing this for the middle class. We're doing it for all of these different segments of people that would legitimately have problems from time to time. But for every dollar you give the government, at the most 10 cents is going to fix that problem, and the other 90 cents is kickbacks and payoffs.
You know, and we were out getting some petitions done, and I actually saw someone that I knew. It's an old family friend, someone who I used to go to church with, and we were talking. And, you know, just catching up on what's been going on. Now, this gentleman actually runs several different homeless shelters in this county. And he bought a bus. He got a bus donated to him. They got some donations in. Someone was willing to kind of lower the price, half price, to give it to this organization. And what he wants to do with the bus is actually take this bus and give people 30 days of transportation to go look for a job, and then 30 days of transportation free the first 30 days of your job, so that you can get some money built up, so that you can get either a car or your license or something like that.
What a great concept. That's perfect. That's
Right.
that's helping people the right way, helping them to get back in charge of their own lives.
Now, anyone who comes into his homeless shelter or any of their shelters, because they have several, they have domestic violence shelter, and they have 4 or 5 shelters in the area, has to register to vote, become an actual, you know, engaged in society again. And they help them through this. Now, what he does is he has rejected all federal, state, county, any funds that would come from a government agency. He says, no, I don't want it.
I want to meet this guy.
Oh,
he sounds fantastic.
He is. He's
Yeah.
great.
That's exactly what we promote.
And this is, and I go to a church that promotes this, that the church should be involved in the charity. The church should be providing for the community, the people who are less fortunate, and we can do that all privately without the government. And this is what he does. Now, the government has tried to take his bus away. And the reason is because the bus has a shower in it, because it's an old bus that it was one of those ones that had a shower. And he doesn't have the money to have it removed and restored to where it would not have the shower facilities in it. He says, well, we just won't use it. And they're trying, and now he got donations and put in some of his own money to pay for this bus and get it on the road. And they are trying to confiscate it and literally just take it from him without giving him any compensation or anything, because he cannot remove the shower.
What? I don't understand.
I guess there's some regulation against the shower.
It's absolutely astounding. And they do that over and over and over again. They not only want to be the ones providing for everyone, using your money to do it, they want to stop actual, real, charitable individuals that are doing it the right way, and that's a perfect example.
He's had problems with the water department. He's had problems with every single government agency there is. They have, hounded him and harassed him. Now, he owns a construction company, and they don't harass him in his business dealings.
Oh, of course not.
But whenever it comes to the charity, they harass him and hound him. And all of a sudden, it seems like the regulations are 10 times worse to build the same building for a homeless shelter as it would be for a business.
Well, because he is actually part of the solution to the problem, and government doesn't really want to solve the problem.
No, 'cause
they
can't
want
make
to
any money
perpetuate
on
it. Yeah.
They can't make any money on it.
Right.
Like they're
and they
never-
can't retain their power when we actually solve the problem.
Well, no, and this guy won't do charity. If you come into one of his shelters, you can't get government assistance. He
Right.
doesn't.
Right.
If you
He
go and
doesn't
get any
allow
government
it.
assistance, then you go with them.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
How do we help this guy?
Oh, yeah.
What can we do?
And we will. And
Whether it's the LPF or any organization, we need to get behind
yeah.
this guy.
He will not allow anyone in the shelters to get government assistance, because he just doesn't believe that the government is the answer. And this guy has several homeless shelters, and my dad's restaurant has employed several of the people that come from there, and they're great, and they really do provide for these people.
Hello, pretty lady.
Yeah, not that one.
Yeah, I know.
But no, it's been a really good thing for the community, and he's just hounded by government.
Look, individuals, and Greg knows all about this, individuals in Orlando and in St. Petersburg were banned from feeding homeless people in the park They were banned from this, and we went down there. Greg spearheaded the thing to go down there and actually feed homeless people.
They wanted to turn compassionate people who want to help their fellow man into criminals.
Mm-hmm.
People, I mean, all the major religions on this planet order their followers to help those who are in need.
Orders not.
Well, not the. They are compelled by their. They are
encourage.
compelled by their faith to reach out and help their fellow man. I mean, it literally says in the Bible, "Feed the hungry." Yeah, I mean, it says it in the Quran. It says it in the Torah. I mean, to me, it's not only a violation of just principle; it's a violation of freedom of religion, and it really is turning compassionate people into criminals just for being compassionate.
Yeah.
And if you were in a park and you invited 40 or 50 of your friends and decided that you wanted to have a party in the park and feed those people, that would be completely legal. But if those people that you invited to the park to feed, same amount of people, happen to be homeless, all of a sudden it's a crime.
Yeah.
Actually, the way the law in St. Pete was written, it could be applied to any group.
But
You
they
know.
don't apply it to if you
Oh,
had-
they don't.
if you
They're-
had
it's
a family
selective enforcement.
If you had
Yeah.
a family reunion, they'd be like, well, it's just a family reunion.
But technically, it's in violation of the law.
And now I know it. If you're listening, you're going to go, "Oh, come on! They made it illegal, but they're not doing anything about it."
No, they arrested people.
They arrested Tommy Frayne in Orlando. He had a ladle. Is it a ladle? Is that what it's called? Is it a
Yeah, ladle.
He had a ladle in his hand, and there was food on the ladle as he was filling plates for homeless people. And that's a Democrat running that city.
Yeah.
And they arrested him.
And they arrested him.
Well, they arrested several people. It wasn't only
Well, not just
he
Tommy.
Was, right. He
Tommy
was the
went
only,
over there, drove over, and he lives in Tarpon. Dude drove over to Orlando knowing he was going to get arrested. And because of the courage of his conviction, he was able to actually go through that. That's a beautiful thing. And Tommy's a young guy. I mean, he's not an old guy. He's a young guy. That's where we need to focus efforts in the movement, is on things like that, because there's a lot. Like when we did both of those events, I would say that the average age of the person was probably 30. Is that a safe estimate? Do you think, Greg?
the homeless person or the person feeding them?
No, the feeding people, not the homeless people.
Yeah. The people participating were like late 20s, early 30s.
Early 30s.
There was a good amount. There seemed to be a big gap there too. There was young people, and then there was a lot of older people, considerably older people. You know, people in their 60s, I would say.
And ideologically, we did not have agreements when it came to some maybe. We had maybe more agreements than we did with other people in that one, considering the anti-war aspect of a lot of what these people
Well,
were doing.
it was a combination between libertarians, left groups who we totally disagree with on a ton of issues,
Right.
but on this particular one we agree with, and religious individuals who believed that they were fulfilling their religious obligation to be charitable.
But what brought everybody together was freedom.
Right.
Freedom is what brought everybody together. And that was a beautiful thing.
And helping your fellow man.
Yeah.
Freedom and the recognition of the violation of the government of the people.
Yeah.
You know, we all recognized what a violation of basic human rights the government was trying to infringe upon us.
Yeah.
And it was very clear to all of us. And like you said, we disagreed on a lot of things, and I made it a point to not talk about any other issues.
Yep.
When we were dealing with this, because that issue brought us all together, and there was nothing to serve us in trying to create division by talking about anything else.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful to see people who are so separated by a lot of ideology to come together and work together for a common goal and actually accomplish something, because that law never passed in St. Pete. You know, we took our actions forward before that law passed, and it essentially got tabled and never went forward. And I would like to think that it is because of the activism of the people in this area that realized how wrong it was.
I think what it did was it woke up some of the people that are on that council, because there are a couple good guys that are there's one good guy on the council, that's Wingate Newton.
Right.
You know, that guy's a good guy. And again, he's a Democrat, and when it comes to some things, we don't agree. But that guy has been pro-people on a lot of stuff. And I remember when he was running at the same time that Brent was running, and we would go to some of those events, and that you would sit there and listen to people, and you're like, man, this Wingate guy, boy, this guy's pretty damn good.
Brent Hatley, for the record,
Brent
ran for Libertarian, running for St. Pete City Council.
Yeah, way to go, Brent, by the way. His one of his signs are up on the wall.
Up on the wall,
Because
yeah.
I do have a little bit of an an affinity for campaign signs.
Not to throw you off topic here, but didn't Brent move out to L.A.?
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
He's in California now.
Well, I think he's doing something that is his passion, and you can't ever get mad at somebody that follows their passion.
Right.
No, but
we do miss
I mean,
Brett.
good to have him here.
Except for we're going to
He
get
was a
mad
good
at you
guy.
for running for governor for not being on the show anymore. But
Well, you can yell at me all the way to Ocala this evening, where we'll be at a preppers meeting, and then tomorrow we're in Panama City for the big Sheriff Nick Finch support rally.
Yeah, and I'm
You like how I segued into a campaign
do.
plug there? That was pretty clean,
I
wasn't
do.
it?
And I am actually excited to see Sheriff Finch again.
Yeah,
that'll be nice.
great
We haven't
people.
seen him in a couple months, so that'll be really nice to say hi.
And speaking of events or things that are going on, is that the Florida Leadership Florida and the Florida Press Association held a press conference on the you love Adrian going, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, during
Yeah, I'm grabbing the mic for
let
this
me
one.
just say this. During my campaign, one of our biggest rivals was the Florida Press Association.
And we gave them hell.
And we gave them hell. And there are people like Charco that continue to give them hell
Yeah.
every chance he gets, which is beautiful because you got to keep on. I mean,
He is
you know,
he is really hounding them right now. It's awesome.
the documentary, The Snicker Paradox, was made because of the Florida Press Association.
Exactly. Yep.
Which I do love that there is at least one 15-minute documentary about me. Like, that's cool. Let me just,
You know,
say that. Let me bring it back. Let me bring back the ego right here and go, I do have a documentary written about me.
Let me go ahead and squash a little bit of that ego because I think I actually got more FaceTime in that documentary than you did.
I think he's right.
You might be right. You might be right on that.
Yeah.
But it was still about me, though.
It was
you
about
had
you.
to talk about me the
It's
whole
all
time.
about you, brother.
You had to talk about me.
It's all about you.
All the
Everything's
time.
about Alex.
We didn't leave this. We didn't leave Tan Talk for any other reason.
That's
than my head
Alex's
wouldn't fit in the
ego
studio
inflating
anymore.
for those of you who are listening audio only.
But on here, they had a
press conference.
A press conference on the phone though.
Yeah. Let me
Go
take
ahead.
it from
You
here.
go from here.
All right. Found out, and I found out like just a couple hours before
One
this.
of our supporters, Judy, and
Yeah.
sent it to us late
Thank you.
one night.
Thank you for the tip, Judy. Yeah.
Which is the same thing we did the last time. Remember, we had no time knowing it ahead of time.
Yeah,
that's what
Are
happened.
you talking about when you crashed?
Yeah. We had no idea until somebody let us know.
We didn't, and we literally, you know, I don't know
Dropped
if
everything we were doing
I don't know
and
if I called you or you called me.
I called you.
Okay, you called me. You got the news first. You called me, and I'm like, yeah, let's get in the car now. We're heading to Sarasota. Let's go,
Yeah,
go.
I was in Tampa. You were in Pinellas.
Right.
And we had to go down to
We're
Sarasota.
like, we'll meet you. Yeah, we'll meet there.
I'll meet you down there.
Yeah, and so we
Adrian runs in. Let the man speak.
yeah. Well, no, it's funny because you went in the front door, and they let you in.
Well, because I had all the bags. I had all the. I had not bags. I had books.
Which-
and I was on my cell phone at the same time.
Yeah, you just kind of like worked your
Blended
way
in
in
with
the
the
crowd.
crowd.
I pretended to be media, and I started talking to the Fox 13 crew outside and just walked in with them. So we actually had to go through the media checkpoint where Florida Highway Patrolman was, and I was having a conversation with the Fox News crew, and so we're just talking, we're going through, and they just kind of waved me through. So we both got in surreptitiously, and then, of course, you famously crashed that thing.
Yeah.
You know, which was just beautiful.
Let's go into this story though. Tell
Okay,
what
all
happened with
right.
this.
So the Florida Press Association's holding a press conference, online press. I'm getting there. You know, I'm reliving the Sarasota thing. It was entertaining, and it's a press conference, and it's also with Florida Leadership, and those are the two organizations that are going to be hosting the 2014 gubernatorial televised debates. Leadership Florida. And
the Florida
Press Association. Can you just stop correcting me before I even screw up? It's like
I
you're
think it's
assuming
funny.
that I'm going to screw up
It
here.
is funny though.
I know. So you're just getting that last dig in, aren't you? Yeah.
Get it
yeah.
done.
This
Get it
this is my bon voyage
Yeah.
party here.
Get
You
the
know,
hell
they're
out.
just going to keep screwing with me.
Well, you interrupted me the whole time, so I'm just going to keep going with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I can roll with it. So what the hell was I talking about? No.
Yeah, you can roll with it. I got you.
So I find
wait,
out
what
about
were
this
we
press
talking about
conference, and I call into the press conference because I am specific, and I call in as a member of the 1787 radio network, and just so you guys are advised, I still intend to be an investigative reporter for the 1787 network, even though I'm not on the air every week.
Yeah, we're
so.
going to have a meeting about that. We've already had a call to have
We're
you
taking
removed.
resumes at this point.
But can I at least keep my press pass because it's the only photo ID I have?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So I get to keep my press pass. So anyway, I call in as a representative of the 1787 network as a member of the media, and I'm in the press conference. And, after they speak and they talk about how they're going to have the two candidates, and they repeated the two candidates like 3 or 4 times during the press conference. And it was as if they were saying, this is what we're doing, period, end of story.
Right.
So as soon as the Q&A session comes up, I put in a question, and I asked, and I said, for full disclosure, in addition to reporting for the 1787 network, I am also the Libertarian candidate for governor. And I'm sure Dean Ridings knows who I am.
Oh, you don't
He's
like
the
you
president of the Florida Press Association, and I'm sure that he had some contractions in his undershorts when he heard my name. But so I asked the question.
Are you saying if he had a lump of coal up his ass, he'd have a diamond after he was done?
At least it would be a cubic zirconia.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, I asked the question, what is the criteria for inclusion for third-party candidates? And he referred me to a website. He says, well, it's for all candidates. And then he started to backpedal. Any candidate that meets this criteria. So what the criteria is in order to be included in the debates, I have to meet 15% with the benefit of the margin of error. For example, so if I hit 13% and the margin of error is 2%, that qualifies.
Right.
But they're only doing it for a Mason-Dixon poll. No other polls qualify. It has to be a Mason-Dixon poll. Now, here's the thing. Mason-Dixon only does polls for the media. Now, right now, even though I'm polling at 9%,
Right.
I should be included in the conversation at least. And granted, maybe, I'm not the highlight of the conversation
Right.
because I'm at 9%. That is significant. That is extremely significant,
Right.
especially this early in the race. But the media is not really covering me. And we're starting to reach out to the media, and we're doing it a little friendly at first. But if it comes to it, we're going to go, full steam ahead and
Guerrilla
start.
tactics.
Yeah, we're going to go full guerrilla on
I'm
this.
trying to be nice. I'm actually
Yeah.
writing nice things and saying it in a nice
Well,
way.
like, for example, the Sunshine State News posted an article about the governor's race yesterday, and they made no mention of me whatsoever. So we just put a note on Facebook and said, hey, here's an article, and who didn't they mention? Next thing you know, there's like over 80 comments in the article thread. Basically, a lot of them were berating Sunshine State News for not including me, which, I don't want to necessarily berate them because Sunshine State News has actually
Has
been
been
one of
very
the
fair.
fairer of the organizations. But we also have to give them notice that, hey, there is really a grassroots movement out there. There is really a third choice, and that choice is liberty. And there's a lot of people on board with that. So getting back to the original point is that is what we have to do to be included in the debates is to get to the 15% mark in a Mason-Dixon poll. But we have to make sure that my name is on the poll. And since it's the media that commissions the Mason-Dixon poll, more than likely the Florida Press Association itself, that's probably where we'll have to apply the pressure
Right.
to make sure that when they go to Mason-Dixon, they include my name in the poll, so that I have the opportunity to even meet the criteria.
Because Mason-Dixon only kind of basically signs a contract with someone else. Someone says, hey, I want you to do a poll. Mason-Dixon says, okay, what do you want it to say? And then they give the criteria for the poll. Mason-Dixon only does what they say.
Right.
But the person who's going to be deciding is most likely the Florida Press Association.
Right.
This is why the petition process to run for governor is so important. Even if you don't make it, even if you don't make the number of, because you need a lot of petitions.
Oh, yeah. 130,000 would the ones they're going to throw out.
Yeah.
I think it's 112 is the actual number. Is that correct?
119.
119.
But this is why it's so important for the petition process. Because yesterday, what we were doing was, yesterday was part of it.
Yeah, yesterday.
We spent just a little bit of time out in front of the courthouse. Now, we weren't doing it for Adrian, we were doing it for somebody else. But the point still remains, is that we were able to touch a lot of people that didn't necessarily sign the petition. that if we were telling them the name of the candidate that's running for office, they see somebody out there actively trying to get petitions for them, they're able to engage in a conversation. We know your positions much more than we knew the other guy's positions at the time, just because as long as we've known you and is how new this whole thing is for this other person. And the direct contact with the voter, which I think is the most important thing. Look, are we on the internet? Are we on the media? I mean, are we on the internet? Yeah. Can you hear us out there? Yeah. How many people actually see that? It's a very small amount.
Right.
Even if we got look, even if you get full on, the picture goes out, and the most you have on Facebook is what, in a 3-day period is what, 60,000 people, right? Is that the
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, the highest we've gotten is about 68,000 people.
Yeah, now that's a reach.
That's how many we reach.
Yeah, that's a reach
Right.
on a pick, though. It
Right.
doesn't mean that the person actually read the pick or anything else like that. It means that was a reach on a pick. You stand out in front of the courthouse or in front of the government center handing out information or asking for petitions for you, and you are going to reach, I mean, let's say in that 2-hour period, would you think we reached 100 people?
Yeah, probably a little more.
Probably a little more.
Mhm.
So we reached a little bit over 100 people in a 2-hour period. But the difference is this. We actually engaged in a conversation with those people. Now,
Right.
not all of them wanted to talk. A lot of them said no thank you. But they heard the name. They would hear the name Adrian Wiley if we're out there. So I highly suggest, and I'm going to, and we'll talk about more about this later on, but this needs to be a huge focus, which it really already is anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But it needs to be almost a coordinated, we're all going to do it at the same time kind of focus on getting the word out. I think we need to get on the ballot, or Adrian, you need to get on the ballot via petition. That paying the money is one thing, and even if you had to pay the money for the petitions, I think it's worth it, because in order to get those petitions, you had to earn it.
Well,
And you're going to talk to, if you only had to get 100,000 petitions, you're going to talk to 2 million people at least.
yeah, but and I don't want to pay for the petitions because that would be 4 times the money.
No, you're right that it's a lot more money, if you don't have the money.
No,
you
no,
don't
no,
pay.
we can get as a
You
third
can
party,
get a
we can
waiver.
get the hardship waiver.
Yeah. You can get a waiver.
You can get the waiver. But
Depending on what our campaign finances are at the time.
Right.
But
If we've got $1 million in the account at the
We're not
time,
getting a
we're
waiver.
not getting the waiver.
Yeah, and that's fine, though, because here's the thing. There's only one other person that's ever gotten on the ballot via petition on a statewide race.
Kendrick Meek.
Kendrick Meek. And he lost.
Well,
But-
and also, those were a whole lot of paid petitioners
Yes.
that the
Well, that
Democratic
and the
Party
unions. That and the
paid
unions.
for.
The
Yeah.
unions had a
the unions,
huge
yeah,
push
came
on
to
that.
bat for them.
They were doing it in union halls.
Yeah.
Right.
But we need to continue to do this. I mean, we saw a lot of people, and when you tell them that there's somebody else in the race, it changes their entire mindset.
Yeah.
It really
Right.
does. Like, people go, wow, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, that's what a lot of people just. Oh, I have a third choice.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Tell me about that.
I
You
didn't
know-
realize that was, oh, go ahead.
And we found that there's a few things that people don't understand. They don't understand that they can actually vote for another party on the general ballot that's not their party.
That is an amazing misconception to me.
Yeah, they're
there
like-
are people that actually believe in the general election you cannot vote for someone other than your party.
Because they're and I can tell you why they think this. Because when you go into the supervisor of elections office to register to vote, they'll say, which party would you like? And if you don't choose one of the 2 major parties, what they say is, Florida's a closed primary state, so you're not going to be able to vote in the primary. And the way they make it sound is they just make it sound like you're not going to be able to vote.
Right.
And what we had, and this happened at a few campaign events around the state, we've had people come up to us and say, well, because Florida is a closed primary state, how am I going to be able to vote for a libertarian? Do I have to switch over? And I'm like, well, in the general election, you're not going to have to switch over, only
Yeah.
if you'd want to vote in our primary. And they're like, no, I'm a registered Republican or a registered Democrat. It's a closed state. It's a closed primary state, so I can't vote for anyone outside of my party.
Yeah, it's a major misconception, and it shocks me, but it's out there.
Yes, God, do we need a lesson in civics or what? I mean, seriously, like, how do you not know that you can vote? You can vote for anybody you want to vote for.
They don't know that.
I know they don't, but it's just sad that that's the case, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's by, and it is. And Greg said it, he's not on the mic, but it's by design. And the other misconception that the media has and that the media is trying to portray is that everybody subscribes to this two-party system, because when we're getting petitions signed, most of the time they say, oh, what party affiliation? And when you say libertarian, they go, oh, okay, I'll sign that. And that tells you one thing, that if it was one of the other two parties, they'd be like, yeah, no.
Yeah. And that is something that has really surprised me in just recently, actually, that, it's like, what party? Libertarian? Oh, yeah, okay.
Give me that.
You don't get, what? What's that? You don't get that anymore.
And I was saying this to Alex after a campaign event that we had not just recently. More and more we're going into places where you say, I'm a libertarian, they're cheering.
Yes. Yes, I know. And these are formerly diehard big two party members.
Yeah. I mean, and these are very elderly people, and when you'll go into in your speech, you always go into the problems with the two major parties, and we almost used to like when you put it in your speech and you were telling me about it, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have to overcome that stigma. Now I'm looking in these crowds and you're not overcoming the stigma, you're egging them on. They're like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I start talking about that and they start cheering. Yeah. I'm bashing the parties that they belong to. Right. And they're cheering me.
Yeah.
You actually said at one event, I keep getting asked by people in the RPOF if I'll primary Scott. And they were like, don't do it. You don't want to be in that party. It's evil.
Yeah. Before I could get to the point where I said, yeah, there's absolutely no way I would ever do that. They're trying to talk me out of it.
Right.
Yeah, it's the weirdest dynamic I think I've ever seen, is that the people, and again, there's people that think that you should do it through the GOP and people that think that you should do it through the LP or think that you should do it in a different way. It's funny that the people I thought would be the first ones to leave and come over to the Libertarian Party would be the ones that are ideologically closest to being libertarians, which I would argue is a lot of the Ron Paul supporters.
Right.
And that the Tea Party people would probably stick it out in the GOP as long as possible, and then maybe eventually they would come over too. It's not
the
actually
opposite.
It's the
happening
opposite.
that way.
Yeah.
The Tea Parties are now, at a minimum, going independent.
Right.
Right.
And then a lot of them are switching over.
And the Tea Parties, I think the Tea Parties got so disgusted with the attempted GOP takeover.
Yeah.
They've actually swung back to the point where I wouldn't say they're completely with us on social issues, but they don't care.
Right.
They're like, you know what?
That's not important.
It's not important. It's not what's destroying our country. This is what's destroying our country. And the libertarians are on the same page with that. They want to fix that. They want to get back to limited government, constitutional government. We're in with that.
Yeah.
And if it means we have to tolerate some things on the social side that we don't like, so be it.
Yeah.
And that is the prevailing attitude in the Tea Parties now.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. When the Tea Party started in 2009, at least when I was first involved in the Tea Parties in early 2009, it was, it was tax issues, it was economic issues. Basically everyone had this attitude. Social issues, let's just put them aside. Let's target what the real problem is at this point. Then it swung all the way, leading up to the 2012 presidential election. It swung all the way GOP. And now it's starting to swing all the way back to the original intent of the Tea Party. And I can honestly say, folks, if you have been disillusioned with a Tea Party recently, you might want to give it another shot. Because I tell you, while they may not be all the way back, they're receptive to it. Mm-hmm. They're very receptive to libertarian principles, to just pure constitutional. Let's stop worrying about the social issues that we're not going to agree on anyway, and realize that that's not our biggest concerns right now.
Yeah, and they need us.
Oh yeah, they need us because
they need your voice.
Yeah.
Is what they need. They need you.
Well,
if you're a libertarian, you got to be able to explain to them what the hell's going on.
Well, here's the thing. Another reason they need us is that we're getting stuff done.
Yes.
Tea parties are great at raising a ruckus, but they're really not as good as accomplishing tangible goals as far as legislation, as far as changing laws. That's what we're good at, specifically in the Libertarian Party of Florida.
Right.
That's what we're good at. So if we can get their support behind them more, behind us more, that gives us a louder voice to be able to accomplish those things.
But we need them too, though, because we need to be able to grow this party.
Well, yeah, we need the numbers and we need the voice.
And we need these people to understand that what they get mad about a lot of times and what they think the solution is and what really the solution is different.
Yeah.
And that they
That's
understand
it.
the anger, but they have to understand that that problem was caused by this. And so
Yes.
you have to be opposed to this in order to fix that problem.
And that's why I spend so much time on the campaign trail talking to people about root cause
Right.
of the problem. And it really is starting to get through. You know, I see people who are like, you know, kind of squinting at me at first, like, what's he talking about? And then eventually, you know, I see him nodding. Yeah, okay,
Like
yeah, I
something will
get
go off
that.
in their
That
head.
makes sense. Yeah.
Something goes off in their head like a light switch goes, oh, that's what he's talking about.
So if you can convey the message properly, all those people that we thought were just lost cause and Fox News sheep, they're not. If you can convey the message to them the right way.
Some of the leadership on the state level and on the national level are those people. They're just doing what Fox News told them to do, and they're hardline GOPers.
Well, that's the thing. The leaders are trying to curry favor with the GOP establishment.
Right.
The members are not.
The members are not.
Not all the groups, though.
No, not all the groups. But when we're going to these groups, I mean, they are. You know, we always go into the groups and we kind of gauge, like the bumper sticker gauge on how, you know, how radical can you go as you talk to them. And, you know, we kind of look at the bumper stickers and we'll say, you know, this doesn't look like a crowd where you really go as angry as you normally would. You
But
say the same things.
I always end up saying the same things and getting just as angry because once I start talking about these things, I get angry.
But, we end up saying, well, maybe you might want to, you know, not get as
Yeah,
angry,
and it never
not as much yelling. And all of a sudden, someone in the crowd is like, I'm mad as hell. Right. And then it's like, oh, they're more radical than me.
I think something else that has to do with the change in the Tea Party is the last two election cycles, the midterm and then the presidential election. One, a lot of the Tea Party candidates really just took a shellacking in the elections, just lost miserably, and then the ones that won betrayed the Tea Party. When you look at guys like Rick Scott and Marco Rubio, who had the full support of the Tea Parties and now are doing the exact opposite of what they said they were going to do, the Tea Party has become so disenfranchised with those candidates and with the Republicans that they supported before that they're looking for someone else. And I think the Libertarians are who they're naturally going to go to.
That actually reminds me of a story, and I won't say which Tea Party group it was, but it was a big Tea Party, large attended group. I had just finished speaking, and the organizer of the group gets up on the microphone and says, we've got a request from Marco Rubio's office. He would like to speak to our group. The crowd booed.
Oh, they were mad as hell.
They were like, He's not going to use us again. We're not going to let him just say we're on board with what...
He just wants to pander again.
Yeah, or he wants to use us as like we're supporting him and we don't. It was
almost mutiny.
Wow.
And the poor people who were running the meeting were like, no, we were just saying that, we're putting it up for a vote. If
Yeah, we're just letting you know he contacted us. Yeah, we didn't finalize anything with him at all. And if you think back a year ago, those same people would be kneeling and bowing to Rubio and throwing rose petals in front of his path. That's the 180 that I'm talking
Now
about,
they're
and
looking
it
at
has happened.
pitchforks.
Oh yeah,
And it does require and I'm not saying this to denigrate anyone else but other than myself.
I know
So let
what
me make
you're
sure
gonna
I
say.
say it the right way. It does put people like me in a precarious position. And let me explain what I mean by that.
I think we know.
I know where he's going.
After the 2010 campaign, saying that I was jaded might be the correct terminology.
No, that's a major understatement.
That's an understatement.
Okay. I was pissed.
Yeah, that's better.
Part of me being pissed is actually at the Tea Party groups. I actually felt, in many ways, abandoned on that. Like they I was actually doing what they wanted. Like I wasn't pandering to them. This is what I believed.
Right.
I was trying to do the things that I thought we all agreed on.
You were the candidate that most closely aligned with the values and
ideals.
principles that they profess to have.
Yes. Right. When we didn't see the support, as a matter of fact, when we saw the opposition in a lot of places,
Well, they blackballed you out.
That
of
developed
places.
a huge growth that you could consider to be a chip that's on the shoulder.
Well,
That was a boulder.
Yeah, I'm thinking at least a
A
large
mountain.
stone. Yeah.
And I was very angry.
It was being held in place by the monkey on your back.
Yes, and I was very angry. And there's a lot of people that I still have not forgiven for the actions that they have, and I consider those people to be enemies, to be more precise.
Anger management.
However, in what I've witnessed over the past several months, and what I've just seen going around, I mean, look, some people I actually always got along with. At certain Tea
Right.
Party groups, we always got along. It worked well. It was always nice. They were always supportive. But there were some that were really, just totally bad.
Well, they banned you. I mean,
Yeah, I was banned
completely
from a couple
We didn't
places.
even let you in.
So what you're saying is the difference between your campaign and my campaign is causing you to kind of backpedal on some of that anger?
I'm not necessarily backpedaling, but I'm going to have to learn
To forgive
some of these people.
Yeah,
I
I agree with that.
And I don't know if I'm going to be successful at doing it because it's always one
You
of
don't
those things.
you don't forgive well.
Well, no. Here's what happens is that
He imprints.
Yeah.
what happens is that I get to a certain point. If I see one thing going a little bit screwy, I revert right back to where I was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I'm trying to get these guys to be able to build up the capital where I can trust them again. But the second I hear one thing, I go right back to square one.
Yeah, you basically implement a zero tolerance policy. But, maybe it's okay because part of the reason is timing. Part of the reason is...
I could have been tenderizer. To be honest with you, one person... I mean, I hate to interrupt you. One person said to me...
Don't interrupt me. Let me finish the haircut.
Okay, be quiet. One person said to me...
You're not letting me finish
she's
the
like,
haircut.
The problem with you, Alex, is that you're 2 elections too early.
Right.
That's what somebody said to me. It was a woman that said this
When
to
you
me
were running.
When I was running for office. She goes, the problem is you're 2 elections too early.
I think I'm just more likable than you.
No, I don't think so.
No,
Yeah, I'm definitely more likable
Not
than
even,
you.
not even close.
I don't think
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Not even close. Look, I might be an asshole. I might be a red ass MFer, but I'm a lovable guy at the same time too, though. And you're not. Go ahead, Danielle. Go ahead, Danielle.
Wait a second. How am I not a lovable guy?
I don't think either one of you are not lovable, but I don't think that there's one that's more lovable than the other. You guys take a
I'm
different
better
tactic.
looking.
That's not even true.
You guys take a different tactic at it. Where Adrian is he's much more of the calm, I have these policies and these ideas and we can implement them. Where Alex definitely is the one that gets him riled up and let's go.
But when I actually get up to do a speech, I can't help it. I do get angry and I start to get when I start to talk about it. It's kind of like when I'm on the radio, I start to build up, and then and the same thing happens to me in the speech. So I understand that. I mean, I see why you would get so passionate in your speeches because I'm starting to get the same way.
But I always was that way, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
That was not manufactured.
Well, I used to be kind of more a professor about it. I'm just here
Your
to
first
educate.
Few speeches,
Yeah,
I was like,
professorial.
wait,
I think
yeah,
is what the word was.
And and you were like, well, that teacher in the front row got it. I'm like, okay, out of a crowd of 80, we got one, yay!
Yeah, I was way too. How many syllables in professorial?
A lot.
More than you're allowed to say. You're still on restriction, by the way.
Okay,
5, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, and now it's gotten to the phase, and it's nothing I intentionally tried to change. It's just happening.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is the feedback you get from
it's the
because
people.
as I start to talk about some of the abuses of government, the crowd gets angry.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. This just pisses me off too.
Yeah. I think you guys both have a different tactic of the way you do things, but I think that there's a different... I think what happened is when Alex was running, there was so much fear of you can't let the other side win.
Right.
And I think that they bought into the fear and they made sure the other side didn't win. And then they
ended up getting the other side anyway.
Right. And then they were betrayed where now they're like, I don't care what you try to sell me as fear. That failed last time. And I think right now it's a different time where people are like, no, I keep choosing one of those people because I'm afraid of the other one. And that person still robs me. And I'm done with that.
Well, that's one of the great benefits in this election because, even if it's not Scott Christ, even if it's like Scott Sink, it's really with Scott, you're going to have two Democrats.
Right.
You know, it's really what it boils down to, because there's no difference between the Republicans and Democrats
You're going to
anymore.
have two statists.
Two statists, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Two people who are going to infringe on your rights and expand government and spend more money. That's really what it boils down to.
But to what Alex said before, you know, as being tenderizer, I think what Alex was maybe not tenderizer as much with the people, but definitely because of his campaign, we're all better at this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we all are. And that's a testament to him. He built up such an amazing team and so dedicated to the message that we're benefiting from that in this campaign that we never would have without his campaign.
But that had more to do with the other people that were around than anything else.
But you inspired them to be
Well,
that
that's true.
dedicated.
No, that's
yeah,
true.
that's true. You inspired people to jump in.
In that aspect, well, here's the thing. The one thing I will tell you, and I've been accused of this not being the case, but look, man, we wouldn't have got any of that stuff done had it not been for, you know, the volunteers that were doing stuff, though, because
Absolutely.
we didn't have no money to
Right.
pay anybody. I mean, you know, I think I gave Conrad like a silver dollar, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
I remember
had
that.
$1 silver to give out, you know what I mean?
But
And
yeah.
that was a campaign contribution.
Well, wait a second. I actually had a $1 salary.
Oh, yeah, I did have to give 5 people a $1 salary.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and that's what
A regular dollar, not a silver dollar.
Yeah, a Federal Reserve note. One.
A fern.
One.
But I think that was, you know, it was, you inspired people to be that dedicated and to be that team and to learn how to get better.
Yeah.
And that was the tenderizer that he has as far as campaign staff, because we have the best campaign staff, and it's because of your run that we have that.
Yeah. We are so much further along at this point in our campaign than we were at the end of yours.
Oh, yeah, we started out ahead of the game then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
was
mean, it's just
amazing.
fun. It's night and day.
You look, because when I first started, back in my day, I didn't have anybody to go with me to campaign events. I had to go by myself.
Yeah. You were a campaign of one.
I
started out with a staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And volunteers.
Yeah. I literally had to go to a buddy of mine to make the website. Nobody worked on the campaign staff. I had to go to a guy, pay him the money, he make the website, and then paid him for the logo stuff, went out and had all the logos created, wrote the website. So, like, all the wording and everything on the website.
And it was hideous.
It was not good.
It was hideous until we got
Matter of
involved.
fact,
yeah.
is it over there?
Yeah, I think so.
Go grab it real quick.
Hey, listen, we're
No, we can keep going. We don't have to.
no, we do. We have a 3-hour limitation. Our show's about to end.
Oh, crap.
We can't record over 3 hours. But hey, listen, I just want to. Yeah, there we go.
That is the first.
That was the original
That is
website.
the original flyer for the campaign.
Yeah, and that
right
was
there.
pretty much the
and
website
I made
too.
this all myself.
And the grammar was horrible.
And I did it myself.
And I made it
And you
myself.
can tell.
And I did write in there, "You're all fired."
All right, hey, we got to close the show here, but I would like to say, as my final show as a co-host of the Liberty Underground, I'll be back from time to time, so don't worry, I'm not going far. I'm just need the time to devote to the campaign, which is becoming more and more demanding, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But I would just like to say thank you, folks, from the bottom of my heart for the 3 years that I've been able to talk to you guys, and keep listening to these two schmoes and knobs over here, because they're going to be giving it out there well. But this is the Liberty Underground show on the 1787 Radio Network, and we'll talk to you again soon.
So you got to dodge him, you got to duck him, you got to keep that diesel trucking. Just put that hammer down and give it hell. Eastbound and down, load it up and truck it. We